I want to. Where is? No. That's not what I want to do. That's what I'm doing. Okay. Where do I fucking... Hopefully you can hear me. I'm trying to use this fucking microphone, but I'm stupid. I think it's just going off of my computer microphone. You can hear me? Does it sound like shit, or does it sound like it's coming through a microphone? All right. Oh, cool. All right. Sweet. So no plan. I have nothing specific in store. I just figured we'll just kind of see where it goes, I guess, guys. God dang, man. I've been battling these little fruit flies. The little bastards. Afternoon, Dr. Puff and stuff. Afternoon, yes. It's actually just about to hit noon here in Alaska. I'll tell you guys, I don't know if any of you guys have watched Sandman all the way through yet. I just finished that the other night. I liked it. Though I haven't really read the comic book much. I like very, very little, so I don't know how much they changed or whatever. So I don't know if a bunch of people are mad or not, but I felt like it was a pretty interesting bit of entertainment for sure. Ta-da! Cool. Put my bubble water up here. Hopefully, too, my internet holds out. I've been having a horrible time trying to stay connected, but we'll see. What's next on my watch list? Ooh, man, I don't know. You know that there's that movie coming out. I think it's called Medieval or whatever. That's like high on my to watch list because it looks pretty dope. It's based off of true events and it's got some really good actors in it. Yeah, Ben Foster is in it, and I like Ben Foster. I really fell in love with Ben Foster when I watched that movie 3:10 to Yuma. He played such a savage cowboy character, like outlaw. It's so good. Like he was frightening, like when he was on screen. So I would love to see that kind of, energy and just whatever he can bring to the table in something like a medieval story. So I'm really excited about that one. I still haven't watched The Northman. I was just talking with Matt about that. It's on my list, but I've been dragging my feet mostly because I've just heard the most polarizing of reviews. People love it, people hate it, kind of deal. So I'm not in a huge rush to watch it, but it is on my to watch deal. Severance, yes, I got to get to Severance. What else? We were finishing up. What is it? What They Do in the Shadows, because that shit is hilarious. Yes, please watch Severance. Yes, I know. I need to watch it. Any plans to read Sandman? Ooh, maybe. I actually didn't even think about it, but I mean, it wouldn't be a bad gig to actually read the comic. I love comics, and I know Neil Gaiman's a fantastic writer. So, and I like the concepts and stuff. And I remember some of the artwork from when I was younger and stuff, especially, Morpheus or whatever, and Death. I remember Death was like the punk rock chick or whatever. Have I watched The Boys? Yes, The Boys is phenomenal. It's great. And it's like that's like a grimdark superhero show, basically. Because I mean, really, it is. I mean, because it might not be, and that's where like grimdark might not just be like this fantasy thing. Because when you look at something like The Boys, it's taken your superhero tropes and completely flipped them on their asses. So now your superheroes are the terrifying fucking people. You know what I mean? You don't want them to come and save the day because they're just going to come and fuck shit up. And they're horrible people. They're not heroes. They're just brutal fuckers. And I love it. It's great. And everything's amped up to 1,000, which is another thing I find that grimdark is in an essence of grimdark, to amplify certain elements. Oh, you have blood and guts? Well, we're going to turn it up to 11. You know, like the dark humor, let's turn it up to 11. Everything's turned up in that show, just like how I kind of see like what is the spirit of grimdark. The Boys is totally a grimdark superhero show. Phenomenal. In like the guys that are in that, you know, what's his name? Carl Urban, I think is his name. The guy who plays Butcher. That guy is amazing. And I feel like it's almost like that character was written specifically for him, but it's a comic. So I know it's not, I don't know. It's crazy. Really, really well done. I know people are kind of a little more disappointed in the last season. I don't know. I don't know. It might have been my least favorite season, but I still enjoyed it so goddamn much. And Homelander really terrified me in it just because of he really just showing how unhinged he really is. I mean, we knew it, but I mean, you really get to see the inside, just the fragility of such a fucking powerhouse. It's crazy. Oh, Mr. Lawrence. Yeah, we can do that. Hold on a sec. We'll get you in there. You know, guys, it's funny. I'm surprised no one's asked me. I'm surprised no one's asked me because, like, it goes King of Thorns, Emperor of Thorns, and there's like, where the hell's Prince of Thorns? I have the 10th anniversary edition of Prince of Thorns, which is a beautiful book, but it's still it's like in the box it came in. I'm getting ready for the move. I'm just not going to pull it out yet. I'm just leaving it in the box, and it'll probably go up on the shelf after I move. But I'm just kind of wondering if anyone was going to call that out. Anyway, all right. Welcome to the show, Mr. Lawrence. Any plans on diving into the dark and beautiful world of Berserk? You reading that would be like peanut butter and jelly come together. I've read Berserk. I've read up to, I've read like the first 3 or 4 volumes. So I basically have read up to where the Netflix like cartoon anime movie show takes up. So I guess that's kind of where I drug my feet on continuing. Plus, there just a lot of stuff happened. So it's one of those things. I'm sure that the manga goes well above and beyond what the Netflix showed, and maybe it's even way different. But I've just got to that point where I was like, I can take a break for now. You know what I mean? I really do dig Berserk a lot, and it's dark as hell. There's something going on, though, with it that is I'm still waiting for it to completely catch on fire and just take me by storm and really suck me in there. Preacher was a halfway flip. Boys was a table throw. Yeah, the other thing that I love about The Boys is it seems to be like they're very unapologetic in what they're doing. They're just going to do it, and to be damned if you like it or don't. You know what I mean? I like that. I'm not saying, you shouldn't just go out and try to offend people. But at the same time, if you have an idea and you want to run with it, you shouldn't be afraid to do that thing either, just because, people might disapprove. Like, I really do I'm on board with what they're doing over on The Boys. I want to stop by and say hi at work, so have you on mute. No problem, brother. No problem. My wife puts me on mute quite often. Butcher is Jorg older by some years. Have you seen Dredd? Carl Urban is fantastic in that. Yes, I would agree. I really do like Dredd a lot. I think that it was either directed or maybe written by Alex Garland, who is one of my favorite like sci-fi directors. That guy is awesome. And I really do like Carl Urban and Dredd. I think he's obviously the better Dredd over Stallone. I mean, though, Stallone, that was my era. Like, we all love Stallone, but let's face it, his Dredd is not as good as Carl Urban's. Is Berserk a good manga for beginners? From what I've read, I would say as long as you're down for the darker themes, then yes, it's not like it's something that's going to go crazy above your head. Where there's a lot of stuff going on in there, but it's just, I think the main thing is it's a very dark story. It's one of his Guts's like origin story is one of the saddest, like most horrific ones, told. So you got to understand what you're getting into, and as long as you're really on board with the dark and the dastardly, I don't see why you would have any problems starting with Berserk. And if you do, I would recommend go start with Claymore, because everyone says Claymore is Berserk's little sister, and it's my favorite manga. It's one I've read all the way through. I fucking love that one, and I feel like that might be a little bit easier as far as if you're thinking like themes and stuff, because I do know that Berserk can get deep, and not to say that Claymore can't, but I think that Claymore's a little bit more surface level than something like Berserk, where from what I hear, the more you get into it, the deeper and deeper and deeper it gets. I love Carl Urban. Yes, it's good. I love all the love for Carl Urban, man. That guy he's a beast, man. I loved his character in Thor Ragnarok. Oh goddamn, he's just good. Berserk is good, but brutal. Not sure you want to start with that. Yeah, so that's the thing. It's just, you're gonna need to if you're okay with that level of, if you're somebody who might need to work up to that level of violence and brutality, then maybe don't start there. But if you are looking for that, hell yeah. Berserk was recommended to me, a good beginner grimdark manga, so we'll see. Yeah, I'll be interested in your thoughts, Zara. Have I read Dune Messiah? No, dude, I've drug my feet on the Dune saga big time. I actually picked up Messiah this year, and I just put it down like pretty quick, and had nothing to do that I wasn't into it. It was just kind of life things were happening. And then I can't remember what happened. It was like some other book started getting some buzz, and I kind of like put Messiah down and just went directly into this other book. But yes, I really want to read Messiah, Children of Dune, and I'm really interested in, what is it, God Emperor? Those ones I really want to read. I've heard that Messiah is, well, for one, I've heard a lot, like, back in the day, people didn't like it because of the direction it takes. I know of the story, so it's, I kind of know, it's kind of like taking the, like, not demonizing, maybe a little bit, but, Paul is no longer, doesn't really look so shiny anymore after Messiah, right? So, and I think a lot of people didn't know how to handle that. But I'm on board with it. What have I been lately? I just finished my reread of The White Luck Warrior by R. Scott Baker. I've been doing this discussion with Jimmy and Amanda. Amanda from, I think it was Shelf Unstable. I want to say her channel is. You should really check her out. She's awesome. As well as Jimmy, of course. Most of you probably should know who Jimmy is. Jimmy Nuts from the Fantasy Network. So I've been reading that, and Baker, I love it. I love it, and it's been nice to be back in the world, for one, because now I'm like really just soaking in all the elements and not playing detective, because I know how the story kind of unfolds. So now I'm really getting to really like reap all the benefits of the details of the storytelling, and I guarantee you I can read it all over again and pull more stuff out of it. They're just very dense and very rich books. So I've been having a blast. The ending of White Luck Warrior is so amazing. Even knowing what was going to happen, I still was jumping out of my seat. So it was really cool. That, and I started kind of slowly like making my way through the Silmarillion again as well. I just finished just basically the very, very first part leading up to like where all the Valar are on Arda, and Melkor's just fucking shit up. He's just taking form and he's just undoing all their hard work. Good old Melkor. He's my favorite bad guy of all time. All right, Deadwood, best grimdark ever. Discuss Deadwood, the Western. I love Deadwood. If that's what you're talking about, what Swearingen is one of my favorite characters, just as far as fiction. Great fucking show. I feel like it kind of ended. Like, I don't know, was it supposed to keep going? Because I felt like it just kind of ended. Mother lover, are you single? No, I am not. I'm married to a phenomenal woman who's very beautiful. I started Kings of Paradise by Richard Neal. Pretty grimdark so far. The Deadwood show is amazing. Some of the best TV I've watched. Want to read the book. Oh, so is it based off of books? God damn it. Now I got to read Deadwood. I am actually a fan of Westerns, and I've been looking for a Western. I'm going to read S. Craig Zahler's Wraiths of Broken Land, but that's, it's not a very long read. And then I was actually just kind of looking around stuff because I kind of want to read Streets of Laredo or whatever it is, but I know that that's like a second or third book in a series. Like, I think you got to read Lonesome Dove and all this other shit, which I didn't really know if I wanted to do all that. So Deadwood. That's on my radar heavy now. I'm assuming it's just is it kind of like an not an just what do they call it? Like a Southern Gothic style Western? Hold on one second. Do you read less in the summer? The daylight night cycle is rough. One thing about the summertime here in Alaska is it's short. So you try to take advantage of it. So usually I would read much less in the summer than I would in the winter. Because also another thing is I don't necessarily love the winters here. I live here, and it's funny because I'm not a huge winter person, but I get shut in, and I will read an intense amount in the wintertime. Halfway through the Unholy Consult. It's almost over. Oh, I'll tell you what, you might need somebody to fucking cool you off after you finish. I'll tell you. It's good to have a support group. Just be prepared. Yeah, they drifted off the other projects. Okay. Yeah, damn. I'm at this place, so that might actually be real soon on the horizon. Then I'm gonna be looking it up. Dang it! Hold on. Let's just do it. I'm gonna look it up right now. You have my interest. Deadwood book. By Pete Dexter. Boom. What do we got here? Do we even have a page count? 365 pages. Is this the first book in a very long series or anything like that? Sorry, I know this is super riveting, me just looking at my phone. Well, I think as long as that's like the book one or where the place to start, it's 365 pages. I'm going to read Deadwood. That's what I'll do. Because that'll be perfect. I need something I really wanted something that's not exactly fantasy at the moment, especially while I'm kind of doing the like Baker and the Silmarillion. That's a lot of like heavy fantasy. So I was looking maybe for something some more sci-fi, but really I was looking for something Western. I know that I'm going to get to Wraiths of Broken Land, but this might be just the thing I need to get into. For someone who just came out of a total Abercrombie bender and swallowed all the books and is now feeling like he has a huge black hole in his soul that needs filling up, what should I read? Well, I mean, it just depends, man. I mean, if it's Abercrombie's style, where it is, you know, he is like considered, you know, grim dark, but he's got a lot of levity. There's a lot of humor in his stuff. And I would say it's like a very cynical style of storytelling that has just an immense amount of smartassery just shoved into it, right? So if you're looking for that style, I can't really recommend more that the Articles of Faith duology by David Ragg. Those books are great, and I do think that fans of Abercrombie are going to love the duology, the Articles of Faith duology, as well as the other one. I feel this is funny because Mr. Mark Lawrence has he's got some books. He's got a couple of books he's written. One though, Prince of Fools and the Liar's King and the Will of Osheim. The Red Queen's War trilogy, I can't really shout about enough. I can't really say it's underrated because plenty of people know about it. You know, I just think it's insane that it's I don't know. It's so fucking funny. And if you like that kind of that humor, whatever, that from First Law, I think that Mark Lawrence has really done that similar fucking tone with Jalen and Snorri and just the crew and everything in the Red Queen's War. And then if you read that and you feel like you like that world and you might want to go a little darker, a little more darker humor, a little more, you know, darker tone, everything, darker character, well, then you can jump into Broken Empire. I can't suggest that trilogy enough. That literally was one of my fucking favorite trilogies. Still today is one of my favorite, but it was like the top dog for like 10 years. Nobody could touch that, you know? Then I got into Manifest Illusions and Second Apocalypse, and my world got all kinds of crazy. So yes, that's where I would start, either the Articles of Faith duology or Red Queen's War, because those two I feel really, really like have that spirit. They all kind of have this vibe going that is somewhat similar, yet they are all very much their own thing. So you're not going to get like burnt out or be like, oh, this is like too much more of the same. It's like the stuff you like, but then its own thing that is awesome as well. Are winters intense in Alaska? Yes, the winters can be pretty intense in Alaska. It really depends on where you live. You know, like on the southeast, like there's actually like rainforest kind of style there, and so it doesn't get as brutal down there. I live right now in South Central, like right in the south, like in the middle, and it's more of one of the more bearable areas for sure, one of the warmer ones, but it still gets cold. The winter time, you can get, you know, negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, I guess it doesn't matter if it's Fahrenheit or, you know, negative 30 degrees in here in Anchorage. But then it usually doesn't stay like that here for that long. It's usually a cold snap. So it's like 4 or 5 days where it's 30 below. And then it kind of goes back to, you know, maybe being fucking just barely below, or, you know, a little bit above 10 degrees, 15 degrees, 20 degrees. When it dips down to negative 30 for 5 days and then it moves up to 20 degrees, 20 degrees feels like a fucking heat wave. Are there any authors you wanted to check out but haven't gotten to the chance yet? Yeah, Richard Nell. Richard Nell is one I still haven't gotten to, and Brian Lee Durfee is another one. I have started, you know, I have read one book by Martin and one book by Erickson, and they're both guys I want to pick back up. I just got to both of their books too early in my reading career, so to speak. I wasn't really matured enough to really appreciate what they were doing. While I liked the books, I didn't have that like drive to continue. I was more overwhelmed by the end than anything. But now I'm like, I have to admit, I'm a much different reader with, with practice, we get progression. And so I would love to kind of revisit both of those guys with a new set of eyes and see how I feel. I think that I do think that a Game of Thrones is going to change immensely for me because I got to that one way too early. I do think that possibly going back and revisiting Gardens of the Moon, I'll probably like it a little bit more, maybe not. I don't know for sure. We'll see. But yeah, I want to get Richard Nell is one because I've heard a lot about was it the Sands trilogy or whatever? I really wanted to get into that. And gosh darn it, what was the other one I just said? Goddamn, I'm blanking. Sorry. I think it's one book only. Okay, just Deadwood. Okay. Have you read True Grit? It's short. No, I haven't read True Grit. That's another one maybe I should put on. I love like the shorter westerns and stuff. What was it? The Sisters Brothers. I really enjoyed that one. That wasn't a very long book, as well as Congregation of Jackals, which is down here. I don't know if you can see my mic's in the way. I love that book. Mr. Fletcher, Beyond Redemption sounds weirdly familiar. Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, guys. When I first got into Beyond Redemption, it was really crazy for me because like I said, having put like the Broken Empire on such a pedestal for so long, I just kind of got to the point where it was like, well, everything's just kind of competing for second now. And when I was reading Beyond Redemption, I got about halfway through and I had to take a day off just because I was like, dude, I love this fucking book so much. Am I caught up in some like weird emotions and I'm not seeing things, you know what I mean? Am I just like feeding my own like kind of buzz about the book? So I took a break, kind of recollected myself, went back to the book and was like, God damn it, I love this fucking book. It's so good. It is an amazing goddamn read. And I can't fucking suggest to people to go out there and check it out enough. I think because of the premise and because of its high grimdark rating, that some people get a little like either they think it's too bonkers for them, or maybe it's too goddamn dark. And I'm not saying it's not crazy and it's not dark, but it is. There's a serious tone to it, and it's really well fucking done. So don't let it be the boogeyman and scare you away. Enjoy it for what it is. Just a nice slice of fucking dark fantasy. I heard Empire of Vampire is good. Not read, though. I loved Empire of the Vampire. That was one of the books. Like, as a reviewer, guys, I read a lot of stuff. So, I mean, I'd be lying if I was like, every single one of these is 5 stars. You know what I mean? I read a lot of 3-star books, a lot of, maybe 3.5 to 4-star books. But, when I read a 5-star book, I fucking know it because I am vibing with it. Just like I was saying with the Beyond Redemption book, I was feeling that shit when I was reading Empire of the Vampire really early on. One of the very opening, like the prelude or whatever it is to that, really caught my attention. And it's funny because it's also caught a lot of flack from readers being too edgy and, all that crap. But I was like, shit, that's what drew me in. It was like, oh, well, buckle up. We're in for the ride. I absolutely loved it. I know it was my first Jay Kristoff book, and his writing, at least in this, is different with all the dialogue tags and stuff. But it was something that I just kind of found a groove real quick, and it just was a visceral ride that was fun and dark and just awesome. Have I heard of the hit game Among Us? Is that the one with the imposters, or what did my kids talk about it? I think that's the one. I made it. Technology versus Matt. Hey, Matt. Does anyone do shorter or pulp-style modern fantasy? I have a short attention span. Man, I don't know. I think Will White or whatever? Isn't his his progression fantasy or whatever it is, aren't those like pretty small short books? I think I haven't read them, so I can't 100%, but that might be somewhere to go. The thing is, it's maybe not modern, but maybe take a look at some of the older fantasy. I understand there's things that you're going to have to kind of suspend your belief. It will need to be suspended a little bit more because we're further removed from when these books were written. But I can't recommend something like Michael Moorcock's Elric, or especially Corum, which is I think I like at the moment. I dig Corum more than I dig the Elric stuff, but I've read more Corum than I've read Elric. So that's another one that's on the horizon, is Elric. I'm going to get to at least to 2 more books in that order, hopefully before the end of the year. But that being said, is Michael Moorcock has brilliant fantasy that's extremely, extremely imaginative. It's so imaginative. It's like when you read it, you almost are like, man, I forgot that fantasy could be like this, because it is just, some of his stuff is just super high fantasy. And it was the way it, like, man, when he wrapped that stuff up back in the day, people loved it. You know what I mean? And I think you might criticize some of it because it feels dated today. But I think if you just go into it knowing that it was written forever ago, so there's going to be these kind of certain, problems with it, I guess, as far as being looked at with a modern eye. But goddamn, are they fun as hell? And they're short. You're not gonna, like, I read the whole Swords trilogy in like 2 days, 2 or 3, maybe 3 days, if that. I mean, they're short books. They're pulpy. That's one of the things that might kind of add to somewhat of the dated feeling, is that pulp style of fantasy that moves really fast. It's a fast paced deal. You know what I mean? Sometimes things are coming at you and you're just moving through the world or events at a fast rate. And sometimes you might, like I said, with a modern eye, you'd be like, oh, well, that's not very realistic, or this or that. But that was not the point of these stories. These stories were written, like fucking slammed out for your entertainment. And they are entertaining as all hell. I actually was planning on doing some reviews for the Swords trilogy, but I'm considering just doing the why you should read, because I think that that'd probably be a better route to go with those books. You should just read them. James A. Moore, Boomtown, gore, horror, western, dark fantasy. Okay. Note taken. Is Prince of Nothing the darkest series you read? No, but it's same. Well, okay, so there's Prince of Nothing and then there's Aspect Emperor. They're both combined are the second Apocalypse series. So the Aspect Emperor series is much darker than Prince of Nothing. And the last 2 books in Aspect Emperor are some of the darkest books I've read, period. Not just fantasy, just period. Hi, Mr. Red. I have a new book series for you. You must read Mike Shackle's The Last War series. Mike Shackle is on my radar for sure. It's the type of badassness that's been missing in your life. And on top of it, it has grit. I do love grit. It also made me chuckle out loud. Read it, please. Yeah. I mean, I dig that kind of stuff for sure. How was the Broken Empire spin-off series? You mean Red Queen's War? Is that what? Yeah, Red Queen's War is amazing. Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. It's an amazing goddamn trilogy. Like, man, like it, and there's so much. The Jalen Snorri relationship it's almost like a buddy cop deal in a way. Like it's a relationship in fantasy that was really needed. When I got into these books, I have to admit, coming off the Broken Empire, reading about my main character is going to be a coward. I was not necessarily jumping out of my seat for that, but Mr. Lawrence really blew me away with how he did it. And I gotta say, by book 1, I was on board. I was a huge Jalen Kindeth fan by the first book. So I found out about myself that I can enjoy a coward as much as I can enjoy a badass. And that's another thing that really I applaud Mr. Lawrence for doing, man. Like he has two completely different characters in the same world, and yet he's found a way to make me enjoy them both immensely. Moorcock stories are like Conan series, and that's another one maybe check out. It's the Conan stuff. I have to admit that I don't know that much about the books. You know, I mean, I grew up on sword and sorcery films like the Conan movies. So I mean, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger is Conan to me. But I do actually want to dip my toe into some Conan. Hey, brother. I bought Prince of Thorns today. Awesome. Yes. Prince of Thorns is still one of my favorite books, man. I know that technically out of the trilogy, I would say King was probably, if I had to like do this like hardcore rating thing, I'd probably put King maybe at the top, but Prince held a specific place. And I actually kind of want to even get into maybe do a video on that whole deal with Jorg Ancrath and just the kind of people that might benefit from reading that story. I think that Jorg Ancrath's story, especially in Prince of Thorns, could really help people that are struggling with things, especially people with like addiction. I think it could really help them take a look and kind of even help understand themselves. When you're in early recovery, it's a really confusing time, and you can really like fall into a fucking pit of despair real quickly. And you can also look at yourself with strange glasses on, so you see yourself maybe in a worse like sight than you actually are. You're not this horrible person, but you feel like a piece of shit, you know. And I think Jorg's kind of deal would kind of help some of these people, especially when you start getting into things of like magic and its compulsion, right? Like what it's compelling these people to do. Maybe once the compulsion is removed, how we can see that the compulsion is removed. There's still these people. That doesn't make you necessarily a good person. It just makes you a person now that is not compelled to do XO whatever. And that is something I feel like people in early recovery could really sink their teeth into and help understand their own situation. You know what I mean? That just because you sobered up doesn't make you a good person automatically. You're just, that's just like they say, if you sober up a horse thief, all you got is a sober horse thief. He's still a horse thief. So and now you can start on some work. You can start working on your behavior. But either way, I think there's a lot of stuff you could look into that story. There's definitely things that I took and I cherish it, man. That book is amazing. And I'm not saying that that's what it was written for. I mean, this is just me finding things out of my own experience. What do I use to film on? And do you have any tips for starting a Booktube channel? So what is this? I have a pretty expensive camera. It's a Sony, I think it's a Sony a6400, something like that. It's not cheap. I mean, it's not like fucking, insanely pricey, but it just depends on what kind of budget you have. For me, it's expensive as all hell. I'm not made of money. So, I just happened to kind of come into some money at the time, and I had an option to buy some decent stuff and invest in my channel. And I just decided to say, fuck it, I'll do it, because I'm never going to do it. I was never, ever going to do it if not then. So I bought a laptop. I bought the computer. I bought a laptop. I bought the Sony a6400. And I bought a Blue Yeti microphone, which I have yet to really figure out, guys. My audio sucks anyway. But as far as my tips for starting a channel, man, I would just start it and just go and see what happens. The big thing, if you want to grow, there's a bunch of different avenues you can take. Somebody said this a while back. I think it was on Jimmy, one of these discussions with Jimmy, and they mentioned this thing. He said the word concessions. And I loved that, because I do think that certain people need to understand, when you start a channel and your goal is to become a big channel with lots of subscribers and views and all that, get ready to make some concessions because you're not going to really be able to probably do it 100% the way you want to do it. You're going to have to kind of bend to the needs of your subscribers. You know what I mean? You might have to make apology videos if you fucking say something wrong or whatever. Like, it's nuts. And that's why, you know, you'll probably never see my channel grow that goddamn big. Because I'm not really wanting to make concessions. I just want to fucking do what I want to do. And who people might like that or they might not. You know what I mean? And how whatever happens, happens kind of thing. When I first started, my goal was to get subscribers. It was to grow a channel and stuff. And I kind of started to see where that road was taking me. And I wanted to bail. And so what I decided to do instead was just to kind of buckle down and just be myself as much as I could. You know what I mean? Just unapologetically myself. and I got more and more and more comfortable. And I would say still, it's probably, I don't know if it's an impossible deal, but, you know, there's probably still some bit of growth that could be made between me and the camera and you guys and everything, you know what I mean? As far as just being more transparent, more real, whatever. But that's what I strive for. That's just my personal thing. I think that's a big thing when you start a channel. You should probably figure out what you personally are wanting out of your experience as a creator. If you're somebody who's trying to get money, I would suggest finding another route because you're going to spend an intense amount of time, effort, energy, and you're not going to make shit. Guys, I make like $15 to $20 a month, if that, off YouTube. And now I have a really small channel, you know, that gets, you know, a couple hundred views on every video or whatever. But you got to understand how hard that is to even accomplish it, especially within Booktube. Booktube is not exactly, you know, flying off the fucking charts with, you know, sub counts and fucking viewers. So just understand that if your mission is money at all, I would suggest find another means to make it because this is not going to be it. You should probably just be doing it because it's fun, because you want to kind of tap into community in that. That's just my own personal deal. I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? I don't run a very super successful channel, so but I run the channel that I like to run. You know what I mean? And when shit happens and I have to step away for a fucking month or whatever, you know, that's what's gonna happen. I know some other creators, you know, they couldn't do that. You know what I mean? If fucking their life was falling apart, they would still have to make a video every fucking twice a week or some shit, just so they could, you know. For me, this is my hobby, and so I try to treat it like that and try not to get too crazy. I probably went way overboard with all that. Finished Congregation of Jackals just today. Learned about the book from your video. Thanks for the recommend. I'm still messed up over it. Dude, it's an amazing book. Is it not? Characters. I would love for Mr. Zoller to make that into one of his movies. I mean, after watching Bone Tomahawk, I could see him making that into a movie. And I guess I'm sure I still got to read, you know, Race of the Broken Land, because I'm sure I'll say the same thing about that. And I know that S. Craig Zoller considers the two books and the one movie to be somewhat of a thematic trilogy just because of the themes. But I would still like to see him turn those into movies. God damn, they're good. Would you would not be disappointed. Great series. All right. Do you read any horror as well? And if you do, any favorites you can recommend? Man, I like horror, but man, it's one of those things. It's so miss for me a lot of times. The last horror book I read, I think, was Nosferatu or whatever, and I did not really like it. But the one before that I read was Nightmare by Chad Nicholas. That was pretty decent. That was a pretty decent horror novel. It actually had me fucking kind of like, it kept me in suspense. It had some little bit of mystery to it where you're guessing, you know what I mean? And because of the suspense, it just kind of all starts to compact and add to the tension. It also reminded me some classic style horror stories too. So it was like in a good way, not in a rip-off way. So yeah, Nightmare by Chad Nicholas was a pretty good read. Aside from Grimdark, is there a horror book by Marky Rogers? And yes, it does have The Dead in this story. I truly recommend The Dead by that author. It is truly a story about despair. All right, I'll have to put it on the list. I did my first YouTube video today, not published yet, so I'm all ears. Yes, okay, so I mean, it's a lot of trial and error. When I started the channel, I literally started on like a little LG phone. I just like propped it up against something, sat in this like a chair, and just talked to the thing. And because of distractions in my house and stuff, I couldn't like just have a free flowing like review. I'd have to say a piece, like say my bit, and then stop it. And because my phone had like no video editing stuff, all of that stuff was left in. So it would literally be me like saying a sentence or two and then like clicking the deal, and it would all be in there. And then it would come back and I'd be like quiet for 2 seconds, and then I'd start talking. It looked horrible. But, you know, it was all part of the process. And I think that's something for everybody. Some of us are going to go in a little bit more tech savvy than others. I've seen some YouTubers who their first video looks like they've been fucking doing videos for 2 or 3 years. They're so edited well and every, you know, but these people have that knowledge, you know. So it really matters on what your entry level, you know, knowledge is with technology and editing software and all that stuff as it is. Yeah, but my biggest piece of advice for everybody is just try to be yourself, because if you're not being yourself, you're going to slowly get yourself into some weird shit, I think. Oh, yeah. Big one, just be yourself. And yeah. I know this is the thing. I want to say don't go out and spend all the crazy money like I did, right? And you'll hear that from all these other creators as well. And it's not probably a good goddamn idea to do that, because it's a lot of fucking money, guys. And this is sad to say, but more often than not, people's channels don't take off. They don't go as far as they want them to go. And they put all this fucking time, effort, money, blood, sweat, and tears into it. And it's kind of a disappointment for them. So, I mean, I wouldn't want to say, hey, get out there and get the same shit that I got, because, you know what I mean? Because it could turn into just an extra kick in the fucking nuts or tits, whichever you got, you know. But the thing is also, if I'm being honest, a lot of times the way the viewers are, they want to see the high quality shit. They want to hear your voice and they want to see it clearly. These are just things. I mean, look at everybody that's running a successful channel. You will see that they have a clear video and clear sound. Those two things are very important when creating content for YouTube, because that's when people are going to be watching it and listening to it. So those two things, man, I'll tell you, if you have nice quality shit, you could almost like, you know, have less fucking to talk about, but people will almost tune in just because it looks and sounds good. You know what I mean? If it sounds like shit, but you have, you know, you're speaking profound knowledge, you're just dropping knowledge on people left and right, but it sounds god awful. How long do you think people are going to listen to that video? Not very. It sucks. It happens more often than not because people don't have the money, or they decided not to invest in it. And you'll get like, you know, a lot of times you might do like philosophy. You'll get these like philosophy videos by professors that are fucking super intelligent people, but the entire video just sounds super muffled, distorted, or like they're underwater. So you watch about 2 minutes of it and you can't take it any longer. So as much as I want to say, don't go overboard with the money and the time and the effort, I will say this: the more time and effort and money you put into it, you probably will see some results. I just be wary, because they might not be the results you want or enough. You know what I mean? Let's see. Congrats, Mr. Have you watched The Northman by Robert Eggers? I feel like you would love that film. It's my favorite of the year. No, I haven't watched it yet. I was talking about that with Matt today, and I'm gonna be watching it. I've been dragging my feet on it, man. I watched The Lighthouse by Robert Eggers in the movie theater, and I was telling Matt, I was like, it's one of those movies that as soon as the movie's over, you're like, what the hell did I just watch? But Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson were brilliant actors, you know what I mean? So as much as I was like, this is fucking bizarre and confusing as all fuck, it was also entertaining, and I liked it. It was weird. I can't say it was 100% satisfying, but I'm not mad at it either. It's one of those things. I'm like, what the fuck? How did you do this to me? And I'm assuming the Northman probably will leave me in a similar state where I'm just like, what the fuck was that? I'm not mad at it, but I can't say that I'm in love with it either. I'm just, I'm more excited, I guess. I'm really like Medieval. The movie Medieval looks awesome. Hey, all right. You got to run. All right, brother. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, that's, like I said, I think in the beginning, his $25 microphone and the built-in laptop camera, in all seriousness, when you first start, regardless if you're planning on sinking money into it, it's not a bad idea to start off pretty modest, just because. Because those first couple of videos you're probably going to be awkward anyway. You know what I mean? It takes a minute getting used to the camera. You know what I mean? Like just loosening up and finding your rhythm and all that, You'll also when you start editing your stuff, you'll be amazed with how often you say, and like, and shit like this. For me, I'm like, holy crap. I said fuck 20 times in 5 minutes. Like, ugh. Should I edit it? Like, nah. My colorful vocabulary. Yes, exactly. Me saying fuck for 10 minutes straight. Mm-hmm. I would like, I think a lot of people that create are, creatives can tend to be perfectionists. My big bane of my video creating existence is audio. I'm never pleased with my audio. Have never been, maybe never will be. I would love to hire an audio guy and just like fucking have him just line me out like crazy. Like, this is this, this is this, this is this. When you do this, this happens. This is why this is going down. You got to get this. Blah, blah, blah. The whole fucking 9 yards. So that way, maybe, just maybe, I could be satisfied. Have you watched Witch by Eggers? No, so I need to go back. And I also really love, what's her name? Anya Taylor-Joy, the actress. She played Magic in New Mutants. And dude, New Mutants was a comic that I used to read, back in the day. And Ilyana Rasputin, who is Colossus's little sister, there in the X-Men. She is Magic, and that's the character she portrayed, and I really fucking liked her portrayal. I thought she kicked ass. Honestly, that movie was a great fucking adaptation from the comics, like the New Mutant comics, into a movie, which I'm just gonna be upfront, man. I've been disappointed with a lot of Marvel shit, and a lot of X-Men stuff specifically, because I'm a huge X-Men fan. I thought New Mutants was well done. Could it have been better? Yes, but it was fucking way better than my expectations. And her portrayal of Magic was awesome. The Northman wasn't quite as weird as The Lighthouse, but there are definitely some weird moments. Okay. Good evening from the UK. All right. Anarchy in the UK. I was just listening to some Sex Pistols the other day. The Northman is my favorite Eggers film and has a more easy to follow plot than The Lighthouse. The third act is insane. Yeah, The Lighthouse doesn't, it's just, bizarre. It's hard to follow because you're just like, well, what exactly? I think I know what's going on, and you get hit with some weird scene real quick, and you're like, what the fuck was that? And Willem Dafoe and fucking Robert Pattinson are just progressively getting crazier and crazier, and the sleep farting and everything was great. I only made a couple videos, but I always lighting matters more than how good the camera is. Yes, okay, so that's a huge one. Thank you for saying that, dude. Lighting. If you don't have good lighting, this fucking camera that is expensive as all shit, it's fucking worthless. It's fucking worthless without lighting. That's the other thing I should have mentioned is I have a ring light. I got a pretty big one. I don't know if it's good or not, but I mean, it's a fucking ring light. It's got extra light. And then I got the light back here. And then normally I have a desk lamp too shining to kind of help stop some shadows and stuff. The more lighting, the better, though. You'll get the way better quality out of your camera. Whatever you're filming with will look so much better with the right lighting. Yeah, so Josh Boone, yeah. When he was super keen on doing a Red Sister movie, dude, that'd be awesome. Well, I'll tell you this because for I don't know if you read like the Demon Bear saga by Bill Sienkiewicz. I can't pronounce his last name, but it's the creator when he took over New Mutants and the art style changed and the Demon Bear saga was dope. It still is dope. I mean, it might be kind of spendy to get your hands on now. I'm not sure. I have a copy of I have like a omnibus of it or whatever. Demon Bear saga is great. And I really think what's his name? Josh Boone. I was going to say Daniel Boone. Josh Boone. I feel really was faithful to the source material. Is there some like more modern, a little bit of modern or whatever, like some changes and stuff? Yes, that's going to happen in a film adaptation. But for I think the problem with New Mutants was its release. It just wasn't being released. So there was all these rumors and, oh, this is fucking wrong with the production now. And blah, blah, blah. By time the movie was released, all the actors had already aged, 3-4 years? So any fucking, thinking of doing a sequel is pretty much out of the fucking deal. And also as well, I think it just ruined people's, like their mojo, their energy to watch it. The vibe was ruined by this thing being prolonged and canceled so many fucking times. That destroyed the movie, in my opinion. Because if you watch that film, it's kick-ass. It's a kick-ass fucking movie, especially for, superheroes and stuff. It's got a scary vibe to it and stuff, which is very faithful to the Demon Bear Saga comics. So, yeah, I really dig it. So, if he is... And I'm not saying, I know I watched AP's video on adaptation. It doesn't mean it has to be, 100% faithful and all that. But I know a lot of us, when we are fans of the source material, we want to see as much, as much as we can, being faithful, the fidelity to the source material. So Josh Boone might be a really cool guy to do Red Sister, which I finally read. I haven't reviewed it yet, but I wanted to read it before I got into The Girl in the Moon. And that would be really dope to see somebody that might actually, respect the source material enough to keep it, pretty close to the story. That'd be awesome. And, that's awesome that he chose Red Sister. Honestly, I can't get it out of my head enough that the books of Ice are just the way it plays out in my head when I read it. I can't stop thinking about how it's going to be a Netflix show, or you know what I mean? Because just the way it's written is so much like a show, and I'm like, damn, this is going to happen. He did the Stand series. Oh, it didn't go down too well. All right. Shit. I wanted to watch that. I just totally forgot about it. Thieves World series. Bet you would dig it. It's very dark fantasy from the 70s. I have not heard of the Thieves World series. At least I don't think so. I'll have to check this out too. I dig some older stuff, guys. I mean, I really, really, really dug the Corum books. Those are some of my favorite reads this year. And those are old as hell. Just read Red Sister and loved it. Yeah, I actually, the first time I picked it up, I put it down because I was really just coming off of reading the Poppy War. And for me personally, I'm not like a huge young protagonist fan anymore. You know, I'm just getting older, guys. So I like older characters. So I just was kind of not in the mood, and I'm a huge mood reader. So then I finally get to the point where I finished book 2 of Books of Ice, and then I go and I pick up Red Sister again. And man, if I wasn't just boom right into it, right into the story. I like where I was kind of having hiccups and trouble with before, smooth sailing. Dug it. I did feel like the pacing changed about like maybe halfway through where it really ramps up and then kind of cools off again. But fucking cool story, man. And there was something about the relationships between the girls in Red Sister that kept reminding me of my own daughters that made the story kind of that much more endearing to me, even though my girls are much younger than the girls in there. And maybe also because one of my daughter's name is Clara, and even though it's like in here it's like Clara, but yeah, I don't know. There was something like very personal kind of happening while I read that book, and that I love. I love that kind of shit with books. So really dug Red Sister. I'm really looking forward to the next one. God damn, is it Gray Sister that's next? I have it, so I'm going to be getting into that. I think I'm going to finish the Books of Ice first and then continue on. And I'm also 2 books in. I got 1 book left in Impossible Times trilogy as well, which I would actually recommend to you guys if you dig time travel-esque stuff, as well as if you're looking for some kind of like tabletop friendship kind of nostalgia, because it reminds me a lot of like some of the characters. It reminds me of like watching my brother and his friends play, like role-playing games and stuff, which I always wanted to play with them, and I did sometimes. Thank you, brother. for letting little shithead me enjoy in the fantasy games. Changed my life. Oh, you were super keen to start. Yeah, sending me art every week. Damn, no, that's cool. It's cool that you that you got guys like that at least tuned in to what you're doing. That's good. You know what I mean? Like I saw I think I was trying to say I saw some actor. It was some actor. I want to say he was from maybe like Vampire Diaries or something like that. Some actor from a TV show who was saying, like, he was praising, I think it was the Impossible Times trilogy. I was like, well, ain't this some shit? Just completed the Thorns trilogy. I'm about to start Fool's trilogy, and am I in for a treat? Yes, I think you're in for a great treat. You get ready for a little bit of a change in tone. Well, by a little bit, I mean a lot, but not in like, not where you're like, oh, this was written by a completely different person. I think that you'll still get that sense of humor is there. I think it's a little bit lighter, but there's still some dark horrific shit going on in that world. So get ready. There's still plenty of dark and dastardly stuff. But goddamn it, if Jalen Kenneth and Snorri aren't one of my all-time favorite fantasy duos. Guys, give me 1 second. I gotta use the restroom. I was either gonna stop or go use the restroom. I think I'll just go use the restroom. I'll be right back. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Get another bubble water going. Okay. Well, I think we're just kind of. I was like, yeah, I might stop just so I can use this. We're getting into it too good. We're having a good discussion here, so I decided we'll just keep going. We'll just keep going. Ah, look, Steve's here. Look, I was gonna say it's probably riveting, yeah. Steve is here. Finally caught me live. Right on, brother. I look forward to the discussion this Friday. In case you guys didn't know, I will be having a discussion with Mr. Steve over on his channel, as well with Clayton Snyder and Mr. Fletcher, I believe. Did you read Kings of the Wild? Nicholas Eames? No, I haven't read Kings of the Wild. I read Black Hawks by David Ragg, which is not. I mean, it's obviously it's something that's kind of in the similar spirit. It's fun. It's super fun. There's some dark and dastardly bits to it, but like bloody violence and all that. But it's such an amazingly fun fantasy ride. I think that if you're a fan of Kings of the Wild, you'll love Black Hawks, and that's why I want to read Kings of the Wild, is because of Black Hawks. Klaus, yes, okay, yes, Klaus. That's Klaus digs Impossible Time. I was like, this is crazy, but then again, I'm like, is it really crazy? It's not. You know what I mean? It's just, for me, I live in a small world, so it makes perfect sense. Famous people are just fucking people too, so why wouldn't they like good books? Joseph Morgan, that's him. Joseph Morgan. He's a Jorg fan too? Oh man, well that makes me a fan of him. Oh man, that would be cool. A fucking Broken Empire show. Man, that'd be cool. Magician by Raymond E. Feist, 500 plus pages. I read it in one sitting back in the 1980s. Yeah, I've actually heard good things about The Magician. These fruit flies. By the way, Mark, I absolutely love the Impossible Times series. I didn't expect to enjoy it that much, and as it wasn't completely up my alley. So yes, and that's the same thing with me. I basically just started picking up all of Mr. Lawrence's books because I was a huge Broken Empire fan. And I said, fuck it, I'm just going to read all his stuff, and this is what blew me away, was repeatedly, even if I'm not necessarily like, it's not my cup of tea, I never regret reading them. Like every one of them has had something that really kept my interest. Like his world building to me is something that in all his books, if anything, you could at least goddamn enjoy his fucking awesome world building. But I would say there's plenty more than just the world building to enjoy. But yeah, I'm blown away with Impossible Times. I blew through the first two books, and so I need to finish up and start the third one. I would love Kings of the Wild. Then yeah, I think that's Kings of the Wild is very much a style of book that I can get behind. You know what I mean? I haven't read it, but I know about it. I know I'm gonna fucking dig it a lot. Yeah, Black Hawks is great. Yeah. Gideon is asking Mr. Lawrence about Broken Empire reading order. Man, I'll tell you, Gideon, if you're down to do it, one of the coolest ways to read those books is to read Prince of Thorns, then read Prince of Fools, then read King of Thorns and the Liar's Key. Basically read book 1 of each, then book 2 of each, then book 3 of each. I think that would be kind of cool. That's the way I did my reread. But originally, I had read Broken Empire, and then on a reread, I threw Red Queen's War into the lineup as well, and I did one for one kind of deal, and I enjoyed it a lot. But you could play it either way. You could read either trilogy first and then go into the other. You like realistically, there's multiple ways you can go about it. Yeah, I mean, that's just I personally, like I said, sometimes it's a commitment, right? It's a commitment to say, oh well, fucking dude, just read these 6 books. You know, some people, you know, to some of us that's not a big deal, but to some other people, guys, like 6 books is all the books they're gonna read in a fucking year. So you know what I mean? That's a lot of books to them. So you know, sometimes you got to put that into account, and not everybody is just gonna want to fucking read those, you know, that all those books like that. So, but if you do read a little bit more, if you're more of an avid reader and it's something that really is got your interest, I can't suggest enough doing it that way. Book 1 for both series, and really either way. If you want to start with Prince of Fools or if you want to start with Prince of Thorns. Personally, I'm a more of a darker tone kind of guy, so that's why I would suggest Prince of Thorns. But if you're a lighter tone kind of guy, then go with Prince of Fools. But I also think the one thing that's really well with starting with Prince of Thorns and then going into Prince of Fools is if you're getting kind of like the gut-wrenching feelings that Prince of Thorns can give off to some readers, I think that the levity in Prince of Fools will be a nice comfort to kind of go into. You're like, well, fuck, book, that last book was a little hardcore. Well, then maybe Prince of Fools will kind of soften some of the edges for you and make it a little bit smoother of a ride while still keeping you in a realm of, you know, in a world that is dark and fucked up, you know. Though, I mean, he really does open up the Broken Empire in the Red Queen's War trilogy, and it feels more like a world and not just a wasteland. Reminds me, have you read Critical Failure? Short and quick books, but damn, were they entertaining? No, I have not. Do both series interconnect, Broken Empire and Red Queen's War? Yes, they do. They are happening at the same time, I believe. Roughly, yeah, about the same time, I think. I want to say there might be some instances where there's like a slight change in time or whatever, but they're both happening concurrently. It's just that the way that the stories are told, you might hop back and forth kind of in time as far, you know, flashbacks and whatnot. But for all intents and purposes, they're happening concurrently. Now, you could, like I said, you don't have to do one for one. You could do just all in one side and then go in all in the other. You wouldn't miss out on anything either. You know what I mean? There are some things where there's some crossover happening. More so in Red Queen's War trilogy because it was written afterwards, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't read Red Queen's War and then have the appreciation, the same kind of crossover feeling for Broken Empire. It just works out really well. It really does leave you options, guys. Just because I tell you one way, the way that he did it is really brilliant. So you could do it. There's, like I said, there's many options at attacking that bad boy. Just make sure you're reading the books in order. Don't start with like book 3 and end with book 1. That would be weird. Fritz Lieber. Oh, yes. So that's another one. Yep, another one. And then J.V. Jones is another one that's on my list as far as like older authors. By the way, are you on Goodreads? I was, and then it just, a lot of this stuff kind of, you know, it's a lot so for me to kind of keep up, guys. You know, I got a job. I got 4 kids and a wife. Like, you know, I got all this stuff going on. It's so sometimes like running the YouTube channel, and then having the Discord and this and this and this and this. It just, I end up falling behind. And then I realized it was like, most of the time my Goodreads were just kind of like short blurbs anyway with a link to my YouTube thing. It's like, yeah, you should just go to my YouTube channel. I know the thing is, the only thing I feel bad about that is actually just because I do like to support authors, especially if I dig their stories. And I feel like I mean, it's literally one person. It's not like I'm somebody on Goodreads or anything, but I mean, still, every review counts. Every little, you know, star rating, everything can help them out. So sometimes I'm like, oh, shit, I should get on Goodreads and just, at least leave a little blurb and a rating just to help them out. But a lot of times it just comes down to being spread too thin as it is. So I try to concentrate my efforts into certain things just so I can make them better instead of like kind of watering down everything and having a million different, deals. It just doesn't work well for me. I'm a horrible multitasker, but I'm really good once you put me in like tunnel vision, give me like one task, and I'm a fucking kill it, dude. I will put so much of my soul and energy into it that I'll come through in flying colors. But if you give me 3 or 4 things to do at once, I am gonna fucking crash and burn. Have I read any Tolstoy? No, I haven't. I might enjoy it. Yeah, probably. I think that, there's definitely, I know of Tolstoy. So, I think that there is definitely some of his writing that intrigues me for sure. Yeah, I know. I'd like to pump out more videos too. My big thing, I guess, is with reviews, guys, is like, I'm kind of I'm my biggest critic. So I kind of demand silence. You know what I mean? I want everything to be quiet so I can, try to fucking convey what I'm trying to convey clearly and everything. And there's just so much distraction in my house. Right now, my girls are with their aunt. That's why it's been going so well for us right now. But it's been really tough for me to pump out videos, as well as I have to admit, and on Mike from Mike's Book Reviews, he said this and I commented because it really like hit me when he was talking about how book reviews are kind of becoming like a dying art. And that's kind of true, guys, because like people just aren't really into the reviews as much as they were. Most of these like Booktube channels that are doing well are really like they're succeeding in discussion and in other things. Do fucking even book haul videos. Book haul videos do so crazy. Like if I did book haul videos, I'd fucking I might get an extra $1 a month. but the thing is, those things are so wicked popular, and to me, it just blows me away. Besides a chance to kind of plug somebody's book, I feel like book hauls are fucking pointless. That's me. That's just me. And as well as a lot of times like like all these are like kind of, to me, they're like filler videos. It's like, I could tell you like what I did, but it's like, how about I just make the fucking video, the review, and show you that instead of leading you all the way up. But that's because I don't feel like I'm an influencer, like content like that style. I don't know. But that's also why I'm trying to do some more live stuff. Because I'm so anal about my reviews being like shot perfectly and everything, I'm much more loose on the live discussions and stuff. And I think you guys are a little bit more understanding as well, because it's like my household's chaos. So if I'm going to be able to kind of keep in touch, or at least be able to do this more often, I do believe it's going to be in this format for a minute until I can kind of figure some out. We are moving here at the end of the month, man. I'm going to be gone. A whole new world. So we'll see how that all unravels. I'm going to try to fight for my own creative space, which would do wonders for the channel. We'll see. With having 4 kids and a wife, you know what I mean? Carving out, studio space might be a little unrealistic. So we'll see how that goes. But this is the best way for me to kind of just keep in contact, to keep it kind of going. Give you guys something, you know what I mean? I like doing this, I really do. And as long as you guys are digging it too, we'll just just keep it going. But I do want to continue to do reviews. If you guys look at my channel, I'm literally like 95% book reviews. I release very, very little other content besides book reviews. So I want to continue to do them. I think they're important. And I really like to keep doing them kind of structured more towards like slow readers, because that's, I feel like there's just an untapped like well of readers out there that I've kind of condemned reading before really giving it a shot, or maybe they got themselves into deep water without really realizing where the fuck they were at. And so I think it's something that maybe if I could just kind of help guide those specific people into the right books, well, you might get a lot, like, you know, the fandoms might grow more and more. I don't know. We'll see. I know for me, you know what I mean? I'm somebody who loved film so much. I love stories, but I really like my love for a lot of things came out of film. And this is also why, like, when I read, a lot of times I can visualize stuff so much. You know, I have a really good imagination, but also, like, I've just seen so much, you know, so many, you know, thematic sequences unravel. So I just had, yeah. God damn it, guys. God damn it. Okay, so Booktube people I've known for become super popular gave up reviewing and said it became the audience for reviewers is smaller. I guess because each mainly appeals to the subject for people who, yeah, okay, so who have heard the book in question. Yeah. And that's it, you know. For me, I think it's like I started this thing for book reviews, so it's like I don't ever want to get away from it. You know what I mean? Like the only reason why I'm really not shooting a bunch of book reviews is mostly because of my, you know, my creative space is violated 24/7 by my children. So, and I'm a perfectionist and I don't want to put something, because when I put out a book review, I don't think about, oh, it's going to get X amount of views that as soon as I drop it. I try to drop a review that's put out onto the internet forever. I try to think of longevity, like, oh, in case, you know, 5 years from now, when someone's interested in this book, they can look at this review and get a better concept. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I try to think about that shit. So yeah, I never want to get away from doing book reviews. Was the whole reason I started the channel, and that's what I want to do. I do want to do this live chat stuff, though, because it's the best way for me to keep in contact with you guys. Any grimdark sci-fi recommendations? So I haven't read it, but the Gap Cycle I keep hearing by, I think by Donaldson, right? Or God damn it, am I fucking? Yeah, that's Donaldson. I think it's Dredd Empire is Cook. I think that's the way it is. Both of those, though, really. But I've heard, you know, kind of polarizing, you know, things about the Gap Cycle. Some people claim it to be just some of the best, you know, sci-fi, very adult and dark themed, and then other people claim to be trash. So I mean, it's one of those things. But people do the same shit with Donaldson's Thomas Covenant. You know, you'll get fans that are like, this is the most brilliant fantasy ever written, and you'll get people that are like, fuck, that's such garbage, and Thomas Covenant is a piece of shit, fuck that book, fuck that book, fuck that book. You know? Like, yes, I come here for the reviews, not who are my favorite 5 mages, etc. Yeah, and you know what? Hey, I'm not against that, and I even have interest in doing stuff like that. But for the most part, I want to be able to review books. And I want fucking people to know about this stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, if people are if people were demanding it, yeah, I mean, maybe I'd fucking make you know, top 5 videos and stuff. But like that kind of rolls back into concessions, right? Like, I just want to make the videos I want to make. And I think that, yeah, reviewing is becoming a lost art. And most people, it's weird. It's weird when you're watching Booktube and it's slowly becoming this thing kind of like MTV, where it stopped showing music videos. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that might have been a bit of a hot take. I'm not trying to start shit. I'm just saying. It's weird. That's it, Mark. Time to start recording corny fantasy memes like I do. Yeah, well, I mean, see, I love when people are like, the other thing, I don't mind like content that's just in the spirit of having a good time. Fuck yeah, brothers. Like, fuck. that's what we're doing. We're just trying to have a good time, trying to enjoy ourselves. You know what I mean? And so, by all means, if you want to make some quirky, cool, funny, whatever content, do it. I mean, honestly, that's one reason why I kind of created the mailman character for those book haul videos, is because I just was like, I needed to kind of inject something in there to make it a little bit more fucking where I wanted to do it, you know? So I don't give a shit, you know what I mean? Like, do what you guys want to do, for sure. Just put your heart and soul into it, and it'll be fucking awesome. I love David's little fucking videos and shit. Dude, especially the ones where he's talking to himself, like they're fucking hilarious. I really like watching non-spoiler book reviews as part of research before buying a book. Yeah, it's not, I mean, and honestly, dude, that's what I've done in the past. I mean, I would, you know, watch fucking, I remember back in the day, there was a couple of gals. One of her name was Che Adventurer, or Che Adventurer. She was awesome, dude. She literally read all of this fantasy stuff. Was a great reviewer. Like really shined me on to so much stuff I had no clue was even out there. And that's kind of what I, you know, kind of wanted to emulate in a way. I really dug the way she approached shit. And it was just like, dude, this gal is like really like she's talking about books I've never heard about. And then after I read them, I find out they're really good. And it was like, what the fuck, you know? So yeah, her, and there was another gal too that I just really admired their style. And in a way, I kind of wanted to emulate that. Very passionate style of talking about books, which I feel is unique and entertaining and helpful. Keep doing it, brother. Thanks, Matt. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, that will roll into just being yourself. If as a creator, I think it's everything you create is going to, even if it's been commissioned by somebody else, if you create it, it's going to have a piece of you in it. So when you're creating, I say, especially if you're creating for yourself, put as much of you in there as you can. Just go for it. And because you might even get to look like, kind of like learn about yourself in that process in a way. And I know that sounds super fucking cheesy, but I do believe that we are in a constant state of discovering ourselves. And when we really put, you know, time and energy into something like that, feeding our creative spirit, man, you'll be blown away with the results you get. And yeah, it'll be awesome. Trust me. The MTV take was spot on. Well, it's true. It's true. And I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm not trying to be a negative nanny or anything like that. It's just an observation, you know, and I grew up in that era, you know, so I watched this thing turn into something completely other than where it started. And I feel like I've watched the same thing happen on Booktube. So, and that was also one of my main reasons why I eventually, like, I don't know at what point, I just pulled the trigger on, I'm just going to do reviews. Just doing fucking reviews. I'm not doing all this other shit. It's not my style. It's not my thing. I don't want to do that. I just wanted to do reviews. I am getting to this point, though, too, where I do want to kind of do something a little else. And I don't know if I need to break off and start a whole new channel or whatever the fuck. We'll see. I don't know. But I still want to do reviews. That's my main focus for this channel. Mark could make a video about his 5 favorite Tolkien landscape descriptions, and I'd still watch it. Hey, man, he's got some beautiful ass descriptions. They'd all come out of the Silmarillion. I'm telling you that right now. That is the best, like, lore world building book, bar none. Fuck, some beautiful stuff. Though I guess it's one of those things I always wonder, like, I don't know exactly how much GGK like put of his own stuff into it. So is it Guy Gavriel K's writing or was it Tolkien's description? I don't know. In that case, maybe I would just have to pull my description, my 5 favorite, like Hobbit, Lord of the Rings. I don't know. I would love to, I guess, know more about the process of the Silmarillion, because I love that fucking book. There was actually, I was just thinking about, it's not really a description of the landscape, but it's like a description. I want to say it's when Fingolfin is riding to, he's fucking on his way. It's after the Battle of Sudden Flame, and everyone gets fucked up, and Fingolfin's like basically seen his people decimated, and so he rides to confront Morgoth, Melkor, and there's a description about him riding like wind through dust, and it was like, it's shit like that when you read it, it's just capturing the epic nature of the moment in such a perfect way, at least in my opinion, that really pays off. And that's why I think people celebrate that stuff so much, is because they get that similar feeling out of so many different lines, in Tolkien's writing. His style and his prose are awesome, right? Just in the way he delivers the story can really hit you, and it feels like it was structured to build to these epic moments, and it probably was, but yeah, it's stuff. That's one of the reasons why I love Tolkien, man. It is going to be those descriptions that some people kind of chastise. I wasn't always that guy though either. I liked much more bare bones, straightforward writing for a long time. I've only recently kind of developed this flair for the flowery. I think your book reviews are great and concise. You got me into books like Chasing Graves, which is awesome, and I would never have known about. But some book reviewers were putting out 30-minute book summaries. Yeah, well, and I have to say, I think I was guilty of that too in the beginning. It's real weird. You're like, where do I pull, or where do I draw the line? Where do we draw the line on this thing? Like, how much can I talk about that, people, that it is not too revealing? If you go back and, if you haven't read the book, I don't know. I think my Prince of Thorns review, my spoiler-free one, is too much. I basically reveal everything that fucking happens in the book. And I realize that, now, but, at the time I was like, oh yeah, it's vague enough. You know what I mean? Like, if there's still plenty of story to be had there. It's weird though, because you're like, oh, it's a YouTube channel. This is where I do see a difference between Goodreads and YouTube. People that are coming to YouTube for a review probably want a little bit more than a paragraph. That's why they're on YouTube. Otherwise, they could just go to fucking Goodreads and get their review like that. Like, and come on, let's all face it. We have become a race that loves convenience. So, so the faster way would be, the way that everyone would be going, but they're not. So when they come to YouTube, I'm just assuming, which could be the wrong thing to do, but I'm assuming if you're on YouTube for a book review, you want a little extra. You want to be convinced to read this book almost. like you might need a little extra kick in the ass. A paragraph just ain't going to cut it. You need some fucking salty looking knuckle dragger like me to shove his fists in the air and scream Yahoo before you're convinced. But that's the thing. So then you're threading a needle on what's too spoilery or not. And I'll tell you this, guys, as a creator, one of the fucking most irritating things, but I expected it, but it's one of the most gear grinding, annoying things about being a creator, content creator, is some of the criticism that you get for spoilers. Specifically, for me, it's the spoiler comments when people are like, oh, that wasn't very spoiler free, or that wasn't spoiler free, spoiler, not spoiler free. It's like, oh, fuck off. because I'm like, bottom line is I did all this shit for free. Didn't cost you a goddamn fucking dime. You're on YouTube looking for a review. So I just assume you want a little bit more than just, it's a good book. It's got its sci-fi elements. The pacing's on point. Go out and read it. That's not enough. So I don't know. But I also think that, yes, some of us can go a little too crazy And the fucking reviews turn into summaries. Yes, exactly. Also, I'll tell you one thing that did me a ton of favors was paying attention to analytics. I'm not really a numbers guy, but I am a systems guy. I understand systems and how they work, function, and then usually I'll try to figure out how I can abuse that system. No, I'm joking. But the thing is through analytics, I was seeing I would release a 20-minute, 18-minute video, and about 4 minutes of it is being watched. So while I'm having fun and everything, at the same time, it seems like I'm doing a lot more work than I need to. So I start kind of cutting the fat, so to speak, off my reviews. That's what I did personally to trim them down. Now my sweet spot is about 10 minutes. I don't really like, if you see me like 10 to 13 minutes, I don't like to go any more than that anymore. If you see a review from me and it's past that, it's probably a dense read, or I'm just fucking through the moon about it. So, so I can't stop talking, you know. But a lot of times I realize the best way to do a book review is to give them that little bit of extra, but not give them too goddamn much. So make it somewhere in between, you know, fucking 7 to 13 minutes. And that's all you need to do. There's some really good reviewers out there that I paid attention to. I'm trying to remember her channel name, but it's a reviewer named Becky. I think she's from the UK. She's phenomenal. She's also the fastest like Booktube reviewer I know. Like she is in and out of her reviews. No silliness, no grab ass, no fucking around. And it's awesome. Another guy that does this really well was my buddy John from Hey Y'all Listen Up. That guy gets in, tells you his opinion, somehow finds a way to throw a little extra John into the mix, like his little thing, and get out still in like fucking 4 or 5 minutes. You're like, what? How the hell? I do it. I try my hardest, and I'm like 11 minutes. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? But I also really like to talk. We can see this thing's been going for over an hour and a half. I'll just keep you guys hostage all day. Rant reviews. Yes, I would probably be pretty good at this. One thing I was considering doing, because I do like salty shit every once in a while. I was thinking about, I've seen some people do this thing where they give their comments on 1-star reviews of their favorite books. I'm like, yes, Becky M. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Yes, she is brilliant. Yeah, I feel like she is such an efficient reviewer. I don't know if I've seen anybody else on Booktube that is as efficient as her. You know what I mean? She's just like laser focused. She knows what the fuck she's saying too. If you guys have not, and that might be the name of her channel. Is that the name of, you know, Mark, if that's the name of her channel? Just like maybe Becky Reads or something. Maybe I'll have to figure that out. But yeah, she's brilliant. Your channel remains one of the best places for straight up reviews. Yeah. Glad you still do them. Yeah, man. I mean, that's like I said, I've always wanted to fucking stay in that lane. You know what I mean? I have interests in other lanes, but at the same time, I always want to keep my car. I want to keep my car in the fucking reviewer lane. Yeah, you can make drinking games out of the times that I say fuck. Yeah, and everyone would die of alcohol poisoning. If you do Tolkien videos, people will watch them, including me. Yeah, okay, well, that's cool because I really want to do them. I think, I don't know if I'm going to do like a breakdown of the Silmarillion. I'd kind of want to do that, but I feel like I actually looked on YouTube the other day. I was like, there's actually a lot of this stuff already out there. You don't really need me to do it. There's some brilliant breakdowns of that book. But still, I would like to talk about Tolkien. I'm definitely interested in talking about the show as it comes out. just because it's a big thing, guys, one way or the other, regardless of where your opinion lies, it's a big deal. It's a high dollar production fucking show. This has got probably the most money ever spent on a fantasy show ever, right? Or was Game of Thrones more? I don't know. I might be talking shit I don't even know enough about. Might be making a fool of myself, but still, it's a fucking big deal, man. And I think that's why there's a lot of passion stirred up right now, both sides. I'm really waiting to see. Like I said, I think it's going to be one of those things where I'm going to be a little split. I think the fantasy fan in me is going to be all on board, and I think the Tolkien fan in me is going to be pissed off. But that's just is. I like board formats. I like short and long videos because sometimes I don't have time to watch. Yeah, if I do spoiler videos, I mean, they're going to be long. Like, that's where I'm like, and I never did do spoiler videos before. I just thought, maybe spoiler free was the best place to keep it. You know what I mean? Because nobody wants to watch spoiler videos. It was my train of thought was like, well, people that haven't read the book don't want to watch a spoiler video. And people that have read the book, do they really want to fucking watch a video about shit that they already know? I don't know. Probably, because that's the way fans are. Your review of Prince of Thorns and the darkness that comes before convinced me to read them, and I loved them. Yes, Sci-Fi Rogue. That brings just, an immense amount of joy to my black heart. I love it when people get back to me and they're like, hey, I tried this and I liked it. Even if they get back to me and they're like, hey, I took your recommendation on this and I wasn't really, into it. You know what I mean? Well, I'm like, well, fuck, man, this sucks to hear. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm very glad that at least I was able to give you an option to try out something. You know what I mean? To dip your toes into some of this murky water. But yeah, when people love it, it's a good feeling. Yeah, it is a lot. Sorry, it's weird, man. I don't know the perfect concoction of booktuber, like X amount this, so many parts this, X amount parts funny, this many parts intelligent, you know what I mean? What makes the perfect fucking booktuber, but that's why it's a good thing there's so many of us, so you could put together the perfect booktuber by maybe Frankensteining, a dozen of us together. I think Rings of Power has the highest TV show budget ever. Yeah, so that's what thought I had heard as well. Yeah, maybe not even just fantasy, just period. No show ever. That's a lot of goddamn money, guys. It's a lot of goddamn money. I don't know how much of that money went into buying what little rights they have, but still, it's a lot of goddamn money. It's a big deal. So 8 episodes. Fuck me, bros. Fuck me. $500 million. $500 million fucking dollars. Oh, shit. You know how much money that is? That's so much goddamn money. Ooh. It's insane. Yeah, anyone reviewing Rings of Power. I mean, I want to review it not for clout, but just because I feel like some stuff there's a lot of stuff that comes out and maybe I'm not like I don't review it even though I might enjoy it. Like Sandman. I enjoyed Sandman and I might even have some like good takes on it or whatever, but I don't think I'm going to review it because I don't know. The thing is I don't know enough about the comic. I feel, and even though I wouldn't be reviewing the comic, I'd be reviewing the show. So, I mean, I could just do a review, but there's something about, I guess, if I review a show, I guess, especially an adaptation, I would like to know of the source material real well as well. So I could add maybe to my reviews with that, but Tolkien this is the closest thing, like of everything that's ever come out as far as shows, adaptations. The two that I would know the most about are going to be, anything by Tolkien, because I've read The Silmarillion, The Hobbit, and Lord of the Rings, so anything Tolkien I would know a bit about. And then Anne Rice. So I know, the Vampire Chronicles. I read all that shit, years ago. So don't get me started on the fucking that show. Which I'm, here's the deal. I don't give a fuck. Like I said, you don't have to be 100% faithful to the source material. But if you're making specific changes that make no sense for the time period, you're just trying to do something that's not so unrealistic that it's jarring me out of my immersion of your fucking show. Okay? Got some grimdarking to do. We'll leave you guys to it. Be fun. Oh, before you go, Mr. Lawrence, I was going to ask you this on Facebook, and maybe, just maybe, we can get a little sneak peek or maybe just a smart-ass comment. We'll see. But I know, I've seen that you're writing some more stuff. Is there anything you can give us on this new trilogy that you're writing? Just anything. It's like the fuck. You could hear a needle drop right now. The whole fuck. Everybody's at their fucking. Will he answer? Oh, give us the goods. He might have already left. We're all gonna sit here for 20 minutes. Yeah, he might have already left, guys. But no, that was super cool for Mr. Lawrence to stop by. I guess I should open this first. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I gotta say, guys, I'm super happy that you guys showed up and that we were able to bullshit. Like I said, I want to keep doing it, keep this thing going. Yeah, the trilogy will be in 3 parts. Yes. That's exactly the kind of comment I'm expecting to get from him. Oh, I think maybe my main question, or when I found out he was writing this new trilogy, the first thing that popped in my head, I was just wondering, what's our protagonist's age? I just wanted to know. A lot of times he writes younger protagonists. I was just wondering, what will the age of our protagonist be? Or maybe we're getting multiple perspectives. Who knows? Who knows? One thing's for sure, guys. It's exciting. It's exciting to have him writing books because, like I've said on other people's channels and discussions, the one guy that's writing, that's stepping up to the plate and swinging from multiple angles is Mr. Lawrence. He is somebody who's actually tried to be, not just bring you the same thing over and over and over again. And I gotta fucking give him props for that. A crippled geriatric Jorg, perhaps. Yes! Oh, man. I still, as much as, and you guys, if you ever decide to pick up Road Brothers, which is the short story collection of the Broken Empire stories, which includes stories with, the Road Brothers as well as Jorg, and then also there's one thrown in there for Red Queen's War as well. But the reason why I'm talking about it is I would have always loved to have seen a Macon Bortha book. And Macon is, of course, one of the Road Brothers, the one that's closest to our main character, Jorg. I grew very attached to the character of Macon, and I would just love to see him get a full story. Though I have to admit, you know what I mean, he gave us a brilliant short story in Road Brothers. One that actually is, one could argue it's after reading it, it's almost the story is almost satisfying enough for you to walk away from the character, like a certain level of closure, I guess you could say, almost. But at the same time, when you're a fan, and you just want more. So I always wanted a Macon Bortha book. I'm not caught up on Abercrombie. I still got to do the newest trilogy. I'm all the way up to, was it Little Hatred? That's where I got to start. Yep. So I got those 3. I think when I start that, I might just end up kind of just barreling through. Just do all 3. Oh, I'm sure I am. I've heard a lot of people have said that they liked it the most. That was their favorite of the third trilogy, or I guess not third, it's the second trilogy, but because the other ones are just considered standalones, I guess. But have you read Sharp Ends after? No, I haven't read Sharp Ends. That's the short story collection, right? So yeah, I guess I haven't read that either. To tell you the truth, though, I'm not super excited about reading short stories at the moment. So that's one reason why I haven't picked it up. I don't even own it. I own all the other ones, but I don't own Sharp Ends. Short stories are tough sell for me. You know what I mean? Like even with the Road Brothers, I was like, ooh, I don't know, but I did it. You know what I mean? I enjoyed like the one story in there, Troy, or A New Troy, I think it was called, the one with Macon. There's a couple in there that really made that entire thing worth it, just in the one story alone. So, not to say that I can't enjoy a short story. It's just it's a way tougher sell for me, and I think it is for a lot of readers. Short stories are just it's not exactly something that everyone's jumping out of their seat to go read, you know. Just for, is it Havri? Or is it Javri? Sharp Ends is worth it for 2 specific stories alone. See, and that's cool. Then maybe I will pick it up, because that's how I feel, you know what I mean, about like the short stories. Like I said, like when I read Road Brothers, it was like, dude, I actually dug fucking all the stories, but there was a couple in there that were like, they hit hard, and I was like, all right, fuck yeah. Like, I'm super glad I got this. Not only that, the artwork on this is fucking phenomenal. This is actually what's inspired me to go out and get my to go out and start designing my tattoo, my Jorg Ancraft tattoo. Javra. Yeah, okay. Howard's Conan short stories are good. Yeah, see, that's probably where I'd kind of like probably be down for some Conan. Sharp Ends is good. Short story collection. Also, let me have the unpopular opinion, of course. I still like First Law more than Age of Madness. Okay. I'll tell you, First Law trilogy is great, man. The what is it? I wanted to call it Steel Remains. The Blade itself, slow for me and not nearly what I was expecting. So I think the problem was I went into the Blade itself. Yeah, I keep thinking Steel Remains. I went into the Blade itself with a certain level of expectation, and I just feel like it wasn't really met. Though there is a scene in that book that is the fucking one of the coolest, most vicious, when Logan goes fucking, 9 fingers on everybody, and just the scene gets bloody, fucking messy real quick. That was some of the most brilliant action I had ever read at the time. But still, I was just kind of underwhelmed in a little bit. Book 2, holy fuck, Book 2 was so goddamn good. It was so good. It took everything, and it was like, oh, okay. So everything I just did in Book 1 is now paying off. You know what I mean? That's what's going on. It's hard to look at it like one book instead of 3 books, because you're reading 3 books, but it's one story. The Steel Remains is a bit trippy. It's dark as fuck. It's way darker than the Blade itself. God damn it. See, just saying these names gets me tripped up. Yes, The Steel Remains is one of the darkest fantasy reads that I've read. It's fucked up. But I gotta say, Ringo Eskieth of House, what was it? Or Ringo of House Glade's House Eskieth is a badass dude. He's a fucked up dude, but I love his character. If you need better pacing, tighter writing, more plot, then the Age of Madness will be more to your liking the first lot. That's fun. Yeah, you know what? And I probably will end up liking it for the maybe those reasons, where it seemed like kind of like what are we doing? What the fuck are we actually doing? But eventually you kind of got it. The story did take off, and you were like, okay, this is what we're doing. And a lot of that whole thing was it. You got to understand too is that Abercrombie was trying to walk the whole quest trope in reverse. So a lot of stuff shouldn't have felt right, but it was weird. It was weird to experience that for a first time kind of deal. By the time I got into Best Served Cold, like Best Served Cold blew me out of the fucking water. I was like, holy shit, this book is amazing. I fucking love Abercrombie. Yeah, but Before They Were Hanged is just so good. It's so like that's the one, right? Like after you've read Blade itself and you're rolling into that one, if you don't like Before They Are Hanged, I don't know if that series is for you, because that's literally an amazing fucking entry to the whole like First Law series here. So yeah, if you've gotten into book 2 and you're still not really on board, I would maybe say it's not up your alley. That field scene. Say that he's a fun read. Yes, Mustard Tiger. He is, dude. Love with Nine Fingers is great. The Steel Remains, Black Heart. Yes. Yeah, there's some awesome scenes in The Steel Remains. Some really, really twisted world building, heads on tree stumps shit, and just the thing that really surprised me with The Steel Remains was how sexual and like how erotic it was at times, and how much like the grimdark authors will not shy away from describing the blood and guts and gore. Richard K. Morgan had no qualms with describing that stuff in detail either, but then also he had no qualms with describing a sexual experience in full-on detail as well. It kind of caught me off fucking guard, guys. I'm a little bit of a prude, I think, when it comes to reading, which is weird. I just never really experienced it. But when I read smut, it's almost like, oh, what the fuck? But I'll tell you what, that was some hot fucking fantasy, man. He's if he ever wanted to write like some slutty fucking whatever, the smutty fucking slutty stories, he'd be fucking wicked awesome. Feisty Ringo. Ringo is almost like Captain Kirk, man. He'd just be going where no man rolled and gone before. Yes, he did. Yeah, he wrote Altered Carbon, which I haven't read. I watched the show. I watched the TV show, and at least the first season, loved it. I love that fucking show. So I do want to get into his sci-fi. I've actually heard a lot of people say that they prefer Altered Carbon, like his sci-fi, they prefer a bit more than his fantasy. Think you'll write smut into a book, Mark? I've tried a little bit, kind of. I mean, it's funny. I find like I'm trying to find ways to work around stuff. You know what I mean? I know I'm not good. I'm not good at writing. But like when specific challenges arise, there's like, oh, well, you could write this thing good, or you could try to work your way around it. And like I work my way around it most of the time. I'm literally, the story I was writing had, a pair of lovers, just one of them happened to be a magical sword. So it was a husband and a wife. The wife is a magical sword. So, and they were, you know, messed up people. The husband's not a normal being either, but still he's like much more like, you know, flesh. Well, I shouldn't say that either. He's a physical form walking around bipedal. But instead of like, now this is a thing, like I said, it's kind of like a workaround, because instead of now I don't have to write like this crazy mushy like human on human sex stuff. Instead, I can take a new route and be like, you know, when they're fucking hacking and slashing people apart, it's like a sexual experience for both of them, or at least mostly for the sword. Like her lover holding her tight in his hands as he slays somebody is like a feeling of sexual like satisfaction, of pure ecstasy, if you will. So yeah, that's how I went about my smut. Psychedelic smut. That'd be trippy. Are you guys doing a Game of Thrones read along? I'm down. I am down. Or was that supposed to be Game of Throbs? Supposed to be Game of Throbs. Okay. Hacking and slashing on set. Yeah, I'm actually in a weird spot right now with my story as it is. Matt has actually read some of it. I you know, guys, I nuked several chapters of my story when I broke my laptop, and it was a big thing. So I just kind of quit, just because I got like kind of depressed about the whole deal. I've since revisited it now. You know, I've been picking up, like reading through shit, and I'm kind of at this point where I'm like, fuck it. I think I'm just gonna write the whole thing over again. Maybe keep a couple like ideas or maybe some lines here and there that I really like, but for the most part, just start over. It's weird. It's a weird thing to fucking write, man, because you're like, some days you're like, dude, this is actually pretty good. I'm happy with this. And then you can go back and read the same thing you wrote like a week later, and you're like, this is the worst piece of shit ever. It's god awful. So it's tough. It's a tough one. But God damn it, I do enjoy it a lot. And I keep coming up with fucking ideas, but I do think it might be important for me to finish what I've started. Do that first before starting a whole nother story idea. But I got some stuff in my head I'm thinking about. One of my ideas I was thinking about was this fucking story called, like, maybe call it Chasing the Dragon, which is kind of a play on words for, you know, fucking heroin. Like, but the premise would be about like this group, band of whatever. They're not mercenaries, but a group of people that follow dragons, or maybe just a dragon, in its wake of destruction, because for some reason I got to figure out how, like, the flames or the ash left behind maybe by the dragon's destruction can get them high. So they're just like following these dragons around, trying to get high off the destruction. I know that might not sound that cool to you, but to me, that's a weird ass idea that I could totally run with. But that's usually, like, as far as like writing for me, that's like, one of the reasons why I love Michael Fletcher is because I think that not everything, but I do think that he's somebody that can come up with an idea and just fucking write a story off of it right there. You know what I mean? And I love that. I understand amazing stories. A lot of time, like, some of the best stories ever told are usually the ones that had taken forever to write. Let's face it, Tolkien spent forever in his world. You know, I'm sure Erickson, Martin, Baker, all these guys spent an insane amount of time with their stuff before actually releasing it, which is good. And you will see that level of depth in the stories and the worlds. But I also really enjoy when an author just gets a fucking crazy idea and writes a story out of it. Now, you probably are going to sacrifice things like depth and whatnot, and, you know, in your pacing and whatnot, because you're telling an idea for a story. So it's probably going to be a fast-paced ride. but that's okay. These are certain things that I don't mind being sacrificed if it's a very entertaining tale. And I like weird shit. I was pretty impressed with what I read, Mark. Truly, well, thank you, Matt. I mean, because honestly, your opinion is. I've seen like you guys give amazing criticism on books. There's stuff that I've reviewed, and then I see your guys' reviews later, and I'm like, damn it, like he's probably more accurate than I am. But also, I think I'm a little more forgiving. I'm a little more forgiving. You know what I mean? But that's one reason why I cherish your fucking your criticism, because I know that you're not holding back, nor like you just will tell it as it is. Good morning, Nick. Gonna head out and read. It's been fun. Yeah, we're probably gonna end this thing. It's been 2 hours, guys. This is awesome. I did not expect it to go this long. This is really fucking cool. Definitely finish. That's the hardest part, but don't lose your ideas either. Yeah, I think Matt, if you have a moment like later on today, hit me up because I want to run some stuff by you because maybe you are the perfect person to talk to about it because you're the one that's read it. So maybe I might be making a decision that maybe I shouldn't be doing. Maybe I should just push forward from where I'm at. I'll talk to you about it whenever you get a minute, brother. Hit me up. Writing is a weird thing. It is so crazy. And I mean, it makes sense. Like, I mean, even with my drawings, my tattoos, everything that I create, it's hard to not be harsh because I guess, I don't know what it is. Like you kind of like expect a level of fucking, it's got to be this good. You know what I mean? If I'm not fucking making this, then it's crap, and it's weird. You put such unrealistic expectations on yourself. It's like a baby, like it'd be like a baby scalding themselves for not walking like their first month of life. Like, what the fuck? Give yourself some time to crawl, Jesus. But we all want it now, don't we? We want to be good now, telling awesome stories now. But yeah, it's gonna take some time. Gonna have to work out some kinks for sure. One thing I noticed, and I think anyone that would read my shit, one thing I am guilty of is I will bombard you with imagery, and I tend to forget about the other stuff. So I got to learn how to like really incorporate. Mostly, I would say sense of smell is my weakest one. I throw in sounds and sight like crazy, but the sense of smell, probably maybe even sense of touch, I need to really work on that. I've been trying to figure out a way to adapt the 8chan incel wizards board lore into a non-internet story. The pressure makes you forget why you were writing in the first place. Yeah, right? Especially if it comes out like shit in a rough draft law. Yeah, and because I got really fired up for this story. And I already had, the cool thing is I know how it's going to end, though I'm flexible enough to let things change if they need to. But the cool thing is I've already pretty much got this entire story figured out. And it was a discovery writing process. This was not something that I outlined. I literally had an idea and I just started writing. So like, the one big thing was I started playing with some stuff that got really tricky on me. And I was like, well, fuck, how am I going to play this out? And that was the main problem. But as far as like narrative beats, like they're going to do this, which leads them to this place, this leads them, that is all fucking figured out. So, I mean, it's not going to, I have a lot of the work done already. I just got to get after it. You know what I mean? I think with this move and being kind of out in the boonies, as well as kind of I'll probably be leaving home for work and working out in Fairbanks. I think that it's kind of isolating. So the good thing that comes out of that is I'll probably be doing a lot more writing. A low fantasy graphic novel? Fuck yes. We need more fantasy graphic novels, comic books, fantasy, whatever, in all mediums, video games, all that shit. I want to see fantasy just do a full-on takeover, dude. It'd be great. When I was growing up, I guess it was just like sword and sorcery had a huge fucking moment. It was just everywhere and everybody loved it, loved it so much that even still today, fucking many years later, when we rewatch them and we know that some of these are horrible fucking films, we still love them because we cherished them because they were the shit when they came out. A movie that I really like, and it's there's some obvious cheese, but there's still like some great shit to it. Is Beastmaster. I was thinking about it the other day because somebody posted it in this, like, I'm in a sword and sorceries group or whatever. They posted this fucking thing about Beastmaster, and I was like, man, I love Beastmaster. I was like, that show terrified me. I was always worried about men in S&M masks with glowworms in their heads coming after me, that or bat-winged guys that would melt me with their hugs. Like, when you think about it, that shit is in that movie. Like, it's so bizarre. It's a very imaginative fucking film. Now, Beastmaster 2, where they do the fish out of water thing, I'm not on board with that. I don't like the fish out of water fucking shit. That's why I didn't like Masters of the Universe. You don't take He-Man out of Eternia and put him in our world. You keep him in Eternia and fucking show us all the cool shit. Assholes. Though I do love Dolph Lundgren. Stepping away from your writing for a while and then coming back might spark new insights and ideas too. Yeah, I think it kind of helped me think about some stuff. Some things I wanted to simplify, and sometimes when you say that, it sounds bad, but I think it's just what needed to happen. I think that there's certain aspects of the story that can be reined, like, kind of pulled back, reined in a little bit. Not everything has to be this craziness, like, crazy mysterious reveal or this or that or this. You know what I mean? Some things can be a little straightforward. I don't mind. Just like I said, sometimes when you're just writing off of an idea, not some massive outline that you've, spent years of, I just lost my whole fucking train of thought instantly. I had a massive fucking brain fart. That was crazy. How about that shit? Yeah. Oh my God, dude. I don't even know what the fuck we were talking about. I'm getting old, guys. Good thing we got this on film. Oh, man, I'm an idiot. Can't even keep my mind straight. Anyway, it was probably not important. Or it was the most important thing I said in this entire 2 hours. And I lost track right in the... Oh, yeah, not needing to be epic, but intense as hell. Yeah. It's good to keep your readers' attention, right? We don't want to lose them. You don't want them to be like, this, what the fuck are we doing? Like, come on. Can we get back to doing... You don't want to lose their immersion. You want to keep them sucked into the story. But not every goddamn thing has to be so fucking complex. Sometimes, and I think that's where I lost, is like, sometimes simple sounds bad, but it's not. It's just simplifying it. Sometimes things are too fucking confusing, and we will only make them more confusing by trying to make them complex. When we just let go a little bit, make it simple, and it all of a sudden the pieces just slide right into fucking place, and it's smooth. And you're like, well, fuck, this works great. Maybe it's not the whole, double backflip McTwist that you were planning on, but goddamn it, it makes the story work now. And sometimes I think that's very important, is you need to be flexible. You know what I mean? Like Bruce Lee said, be like water. Like, be able to be fluid and move around some of these ideas. I think the more rigid you get, you're making much more work than you need to. But that's just for discovery writing. That's all I've done. I don't know. If you're plotting and doing something else, then maybe you have to be rigid, because these are your fucking plot points and you have to hit them. So you got to figure it out, right? For me, my shit's just a crazy idea that I ran with, so I can change a lot of shit. And I'm already taking a lot of liberties and changing stuff anyway, guys. I'm writing a high fantasy, so it's like, you're gonna have to suspend some belief. I say high fantasy, but I should say it's like grimdark high fantasy or dark fantasy high fantasy, whichever way you want to fucking look at it. As of right now, I'm calling it. It's kind of like what the fuck? Well, some of the characters I based it off of it were like Mickey and Mallory Knox, or like Joker, Harley Quinn, or like Honey Bunny, the duo from Pulp Fiction or whatever, the fucking restaurant robbers. Just very like Bonnie and Clyde, eccentric like crime duo or whatever it is. What I kind of based them off of. Hold on. What do I think about Obsidian Path after some time has passed? Also, I love your channel, man. After some time, I kind of want to go back and revisit the third book, at least like the ending, because I think I missed something. Thing is, Obsidian Path is great. I can't like recommend it enough, especially for the people I'm trying to kind of reach and kind of like, hey, look, maybe you're struggling with reading. You need a little bit easier of a ride. You know what I mean? Let's get you on a smooth ride. I would say Obsidian Path series is exactly that. It is, once again, it's kind of one of those things that sometimes like Fletcher will hit you with all the fucking crazy world building and details and cool stuff. And then sometimes too, he will simplify the fuck out of the story. And it just fucking boom, boom, boom. It just starts falling in fucking place. Now, I do think in that third installment, especially how he leaves us, because we are going to be getting more books. It's a weird thing. It's the end of a trilogy, but it's not really the end of the story. It's not a trilogy. It's a series. So it's like, I don't really know. I can't explain. He's probably better at explaining that than me. But all in all, I fucking loved the Obsidian Path series. I have to admit, I think the first two books are the best. But the third one wasn't a disappointment at all. It just, like She Dreams in Blood was literally like one of my fucking favorite reads that year. Like it was that fucking good, especially the ending of that one. That one I was just like, what the fuck? This is awesome. But yeah, I mean, especially if you go look at like read Beyond Redemption and then read Blackstone Heart. They're written, by the same guy, and they have similar prose as far as like how he's delivering the story. His style is similar, but he's definitely like Beyond Redemption feels something a little bit more like fantasy style writing. It's a little bit more beefy, you know what I mean? A little bit more like the flowery, though it's not really flowery, but it's like the opposite of flowery. It's gross. But he has a flowery way of just like layering descriptions and whatnot. Where in Obsidian Path, it's much more straightforward storytelling. And I can't recommend straightforward storytelling enough for slow and struggling readers. And the content that the Obsidian Path like has in it is just so fucking cool. It's cool as shit. What do you think about? Oh, I already said. The village I live in was first settled 7,600 years ago and has a lot of Neolithic Viking Norman structures. So lots of great ideas for historical fantasy. Yeah, dude, historical history's got is an infinite fucking well of fucking ideas, man. I'll tell you, you could go off a lot of shit that's actually happened and create some awesome stories. Fantasy that gets you high. Yeah. Imagine not writing grimdark by default. Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, like, honestly, I started to kind of understand where those things come from, because when I started writing, I realized that writing a grimdark story was the last fucking thing on my mind. It wasn't about the tone necessarily. It was about the characters, and that just kind of came. The tone comes from the characters. The characters are fucked up, So I guess the story's going to be fucked up if we're following them. It would be weird for the story not to be fucked up. It'd be incongruent. It just wouldn't match up. And so that's why I think I wanted to write a weird, fucked up story, something that was like Natural Born. That's what I was trying to say. It's kind of like Natural Born Killers meets Princess Bride, I guess. It's like kind of how I'm spinning it at the moment. It's like a lot of high fantasy, but with like a grimdark love story in a high fantasy world, sort of. I really wanted to create some weird ass creatures and monsters, And so far, I've been able to kind of do a little bit of that, which I've had a lot of fun. The ending of She Dreams in Blood, yes, is so good. It's so good. So good. It's like, it's kind of like in spirit of like the Empire Strikes Back from Star Wars, that second installment that is so fucking good. It's like, that's probably, like, in my opinion, that's the best one, my favorite one, I should say. And that's kind of what She Dreams of Blood reminds me of too. It's just the way the story and how it unfolds is so goddamn entertaining, so good. It's just hitting on all cylinders, and it leaves you just on the edge of your seat, biting your nails, and just chomping at the bit to get to the next book. It's fucking brilliant. Snyder's Blackthorn is as straightforward as you can get, I think. Yeah, I really dig. I think he did a little tiny bit of some like kind of like narrative flashback and like kind of stuff that it just makes it just that tiny bit from being completely straightforward. But I'd agree, it's very straightforward. It's such a fast-paced ride, but it's so, to me, it was so engaging and so imaginative, and just the fucking weird tech and witch magic and shit that he throws in there was so fucking brilliant. And of course, it's funny as fuck because it's Clayton Snyder. What do you think of Ghost of Tomorrow? Ghost of Tomorrow is dope. It's dark as fuck, but it's also got some stuff in there that's like highly contrasts its dark tone, because you have these kids. Part of what makes this thing that book dark is the fact that it's like the children, right? Not just like the killing of children. That's super fucked up, but also the fact that these kids are being like, their consciousness or whatever is being slammed into like killing machines. So you have like 6, 7, 8-year-old kids' minds inside of a killing robot machine. It's kind of fucked up, but you'll get like he managed to do this thing where like they feel like kids. So you're like, they're talking like kids would talk. It's like, you're like, well, fuck, just like a chapter ago, you were shooting bullets and fucking using katanas and shit, cutting heads off. It's crazy. It's a weird fucking experience. I will say this, while reading it, I could not get it out of my head that it reads like an anime. Like, I couldn't stop thinking of like it in an anime. And I know Fletcher would like to see that turned into like a live action adaptation. Man, I can't help but think that it would be a better anime. I only thought that by the end of the third book, he was starting to repeat some of the elements too much. However, I loved it. And thank you for introducing me to that trilogy. Yeah, it's a great trilogy. Like I said, I think I'd like to go back maybe and revisit, and I probably will just just read all 3 books, honestly, because it's not like they take that long to get through. The way that they're structured, and he really brings you along from point A to point B without any fucking like hard work, you know. So I could probably read all 3 of them fairly quick, and it would be worthwhile as well, just because I love the books. But I just think that there's maybe I don't know. I wonder if I blasted through the 3rd book too fast. Also, I had an awful lot of life shit going on, so I didn't blast through that so fast. I took forever reading that. That's what was going on. It was basically life happening at a rapid rate, and I just couldn't keep up. So it'd be interesting for me to read it again and get like a good like bearing of it, like from beginning to end in a timely manner and not so spread out. Though being spread out, I got to think about it more. Great, more weird creatures to illustrate. Yes, Quint Von Cannon, dude. Yes, your fucking illustrations are gold, brother. I love it. Anytime I see, I mean, there's obviously specific ones that really, really pull at my heart. If you draw anything with Proyas or Surwa or Nair, I'm like, fucking love. For those that don't know, Quint Von Cannon has got some of the coolest goddamn fantasy artwork out there. He's the shit. He is the shit. He's also done some Beyond Manifest Illusions drawings, Empires of Dust drawings. So yeah, I'm not sure. I know he's got some Bugs Bunny drawings. So yes, he's got all kinds of. I bet you he might have a drawing of one of your favorite fucking series out there, and and Snakewood. Yes, Snakewood's the shit. Actually, there's a couple people that have been finally getting into that stuff over on my Discord, man. Adrian Selby is a beast. He's somebody I would definitely put on everyone's radar. I love it. Love his stuff. I still need to read Brother Red. Rebecca Levine, Smiler's Fair. I don't know if I picked that up or not. I did pick up Morgan Stang's. Is it Wolf and She Bear or something like that? I picked that one up, so that one's going to get put in rotation here pretty soon. And then yes, I also think that this Rebecca Levine is someone else I need to put on my radar. Yeah, The Winter Road is so good. What was her name? Tara Amundsen. It's just a great story, though. Yeah, Tara Amundsen. Yeah. She is an ambitious woman, man, and that's one thing I think that people are sleeping on with Selby. If you're someone who's been trying to find someone who writes really competent and just strong female characters, I argue that Selby is the guy. He knows how to write a strong female character without making them like Mary Sue's or whatever you call it. You know what I mean? They're not like they all have flaws. There's things, like maybe sometimes he's fucking three-dimensional because he's like, the thing that drives them might be the very thing that's also kind of a fucking, one of their not so shining attributes. It could be a shortcoming, like her ambition is not only a good thing because it's going to change this world, this like Selby's world for forever. It's a huge undertaking. It's a massive world changing deal. But at the same time, it's also this kind of ambition that will lead her into fucking trouble, get people that she cares about killed. You know what I mean? It's crazy. I've never read anything that felt more realistic than Selby's books. I think that Snakewood and The Winter Road, especially The Winter Road was like, I keep saying it, and will continue to. It's like The Revenant. It reminded me of The Revenant, like kind of like fantasy style. Just so fucking dope. All right. Legends of the Brave Bard. I thank you. Hey, Wilbur. Yes, brother. Yeah, I think my girls, I just got a call. I got to call them back. I think my girls are about to come home. So this whole deal is about to get turned upside down. And honestly, guys, this is going about an hour and a half longer than I thought it would. So very impressive. Very impressive. Thank you, guys. I think I'm going to start wrapping up. So if you guys got anything you want to chit chat about real quick, I know I'll probably turn it into a whole nother hour, but yeah, hit me with a question or two, whatever, if you got, and I'll try to answer what I can, and then we'll have to part ways, but I'll probably be back next week with another little bit of live chatting. Hopefully I can get a review kind of done up in between then. But I'll leave this up too, guys, so you guys can watch it if you missed it or whatever and you want to watch it, by all means. Oh, yeah. Deadwood. Deadwood is on my list. That's probably coming up here soon. Then I'll probably, maybe if I can get it read and maybe I can get it reviewed before I leave. I don't know. We're in the middle of the move, guys. I'm out of this house by the end of the month, so it's a lot going on all at once. So we'll see. First 20 pages of Deadwood, excellent so far. Good news. Good news. The other wizard got a pointer he had. Then point your hat to me. It's on. That's awesome. All right, guys. Fuck yeah. Thank you for coming and hanging out. What did I say? Chitting the chat. Chatting the chit. Thanks, Colin. Thank you. I love your support, guys. What's my next Grimdark read? Ooh, well, I will be going into the great ordeal as far as reread. I do have what is it? Brian Lee Durfee's Forgetting Moon, which I have heard is kind of considered grimdark or whatever. And I got that on deck. So that's really probably what's, as far as grimdark, that's kind of what's on the horizon. Though I mean, there's plenty more to come after that. It's just I don't really plan out what I'm such a mood reader. I don't have like I'm gonna do this one and then this one and then this one. I've tried to do that, it never works out. So I just try to have like a general collection of shit that I want to read, and then whenever the mood strikes me, I stick into that eclectic pile and grab it and go. Have you ever thought about doing a group read and then live chat discussing it? No, I mean not really, but I mean it's something we could do. I mean I'm always down if enough people wanted to do it or whatever. I love discussion, so chatting the chit, man. Yeah, that's what a new fucking slowly read saying. Chatting the chit is along with gosh bless you. Gosh bless you, everyone. I really do mean it though, guys. It means a lot to me for you guys to just take a minute out of your fucking busy time, your day. You know, you only got X amount of time and energy. For you to spend any of it with my dumb ass means a lot. So thank you. And then hopefully I can come at you with some more shit either next week, either a book review or it'll be another little live chat like this. And then also feel free if you ever get any idea, like if you want to do a specific live stream like discussion about one specific thing, I'm willing to consider it, especially if it's something that we will all talk about. I just know that a lot of times it's hard to do that because you'll get however many people in the chat, and then people are always asking random questions, and it's hard to stay on topic sometimes. So if there's enough people that want to talk about one specific thing, I'm down to do it. You can always, give me ideas in the Discord or whatever. I'm always open ears. It doesn't mean I'm going to do it, but I mean, I will listen. I will listen. My hair has the Jesus flow. Look at my hair. Look at this stuff, man. Yeah, I do have a kind of a little bit of a Jesus thing going on right now. It's kind of funny. I could never slow my read down enough for group purposes. Yeah, and that's a lot of times what happens with group reads is everyone's on different, everyone's got a different pace. So you get like those guys that are done 2 days after the group read started, and then the other people that are done at the end of the month, Spend my days creating fantasy world. Need to see something a bit more realistic every now and then. Yeah, and that's usually what it is. Whatever you're kind of like, wherever you spend the majority of your time, you're gonna probably want to escape into the complete opposite. I mean, that's basically what I mean. I feel like that's because I the real world grinds on me so much. That's why I love fantasy. Maybe it's because I can just go to a fucking make believe world and imagine whatever. Or if I'm writing it, I can create whatever the fuck. Yeah, I still got my hairline. Yeah, I'm lucky. Yes, I am really lucky. I got all the guys on my family, like even really old. Like my great grandfather lived to be almost 100 years old, and he had like a full head of hair. He had like a white pompadour. It's fucking crazy. Just finished Forgetting Moon. So awesome. I've heard nothing but good things. So yeah, the other one, so Forgetting Moon, and I think it's Empire of Silence. It's the Christopher Rocchio sci-fi book that's supposed to be kind of dark as well, kind of Dune-esque or whatever. That's another one that's on my, like, I'd like to get this year. Favorite time, grimdark series of all time? Man, it's one of those things. Okay, here's the thing. I would say Second Apocalypse has taken that deal, but it's so weird. It's so weird because like the whole thing with grimdark, for part of me wants to be like, Well, Second Apocalypse isn't a grimdark series. It's dark fantasy, or it's adult, and it certainly is the darkest shit I've ever read. But sometimes it seems like wasn't written to be a grimdark book. It's much more a fantasy story. Where then you take something like Mark Lawrence's Broken Empire, and although that really wasn't like he was trying to do grimdark either, he was specifically like trying to write a darker like he was trying to like take Alex from Clockwork Orange and put him in a fantasy world, so just doing that alone was going to be pretty fucked up, dark and dastardly, and very much more in line with something like grimdark, as well as just the way that he kind of amplifies certain things, and especially the black twisted humor. That is what made it feel like a grimdark story to me. I guess another really good example is if anyone out here has read the 2 Manifest Delusions books, and there's more than 2, but if you've read Beyond Redemption and then you read Mirror's Truth, I think you would be almost like the Beyond Redemption feels like a fucking epic dark fantasy. The Mirror's Truth feels like a grimdark story because it's more character driven. It's much more amplified and just fucking zany. That's, I don't know, it's weird. But once again, grimdark is so fucking hard to nail down. So part of me wants to say that the Broken Empire is the best grimdark series, bar none, because technically, like Beyond Redemption and fucking Second Apocalypse were more serious. It's weird because that's like almost alluding to the fact that Broken Empire isn't serious. There's a very serious stuff in there, but I also feel like it was just an amplified story at a lot of times. There's much more in that grimdark spirit than the others. We're fucking splitting weird hairs now, but yeah. So I would say if we're just gonna just go all inclusive, it's probably the Second Apocalypse. Then you know what I mean? Like that is just an insane set of books. It's too massive, sprawling, dense, and fucking amazing to not take the cake. But Manifest Illusions is amazing. And yes, Fletcher is working on, he's been trying to work on that book for a minute. And I'll tell you, after I lost a couple of chapters of my own shit, I'm not even a fucking writer. I understand the whole like wind being taken out of one's sails kind of thing, like where your spirit has been kind of smashed. So in a way, I was able to kind of understand how Fletcher, because you got to understand, book 1's traditionally published. It didn't, although critically did well. It did really well. All the fucking review, like critics are fucking happy with it. Sales don't reflect that. So the fucking gets dropped from the publisher. So he has to self-pub his next book, right? So you got 2 different, that might actually even have something to do with the way that in the editing and whatnot. But either way, so between now that you got this other book, he was already writing book 2 before he got dropped. So that was already in the process. So now you got to imagine he's, it's like a kick in the nuts. And I don't want him to return to that story and finish it out, that world, without being in the space that he needs to be to make it right. I don't want any of it to be like, fuck, I just got to finish this, so let's just write it. I want him to write it because it fucking feels right. And I know that's what he's doing. That's why it's taking so long. And there's a lot of people, fans, and I've even been one of them, that are like hounding him. But we kind of need to back the fuck off and just let him do his thing and let that story fall into place exactly as it needs to. Because it's going to be amazing. And that's what we need to do, is give him all the room to make it amazing. Yeah, Slog, Skin Eater parts, Serious Field, most grimdark. They're pretty fucked up. And then, in the very, very end, the Field's appalling. Just, fuck. So fucked up. Truth shines. Yeah, so Joe Abercrombie is a very highly celebrated grimdark author. He's like kind of cream of the crop there. Like I was saying, if you like his style though, of like the amount of humor that he injects into, and also this like level of cynical, kind of like a cynical outlook on the world, I do think that the Black Hawks and the Righteous, which is the Articles of Faith duology by David Ragg, would be really good, as well as Red Queen's War by Mark Lawrence. Those two are musts if you're really diehard about Abercrombie and you're wondering where to go next. Those are the two I can't recommend more. Yeah, Wilbur, exactly. Like and that's the thing, that's good that you're like, because some people can't keep themselves from not being pressured, and they just they got to do it. They're like, fuck, everyone's hounding me, I got to do it, like, and then they just do it, and it's subpar or whatever. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that that's not the road, that Michael Fletcher's taking. He's taking his fucking time. It might be a little irritating on our end, but I guarantee you, in the end of it all, it's gonna be worth it. Yeah, Mark Lawrence, exactly, Brad. Yep, that's where I would go. The Red Queen's War is probably the easiest transition off of Joe Abercrombie going into Mark Lawrence's Red Queen War. If you want to bump it up a little notch as far as dark and dastardly, go to Broken Empire. Or like I said earlier, just read them both. All right, guys. I think my girls are about to come home, so I got to get ready for all that. Try to shut this thing down about 20 minutes ago, huh? Just keep talking. Michael Moorcock's Elric books. Hell yeah. I am going to be getting into this. I got the first one done and reviewed a while back. I'm gonna do it. Thanks, Steve. Yes. Fletcher's busy, man. He'd be writing shit. Just because he's not finishing Manifest doesn't mean he's not writing shit. So he's got plenty of stuff. And I'll leave this up for you guys, for any of you that kind of joined late. If you want to watch all the bullshit we talked about, this was probably much better than the last one. For one, we didn't get cut off halfway. And then also it was a little quieter. So you can probably hear me. All right, guys. Love ya. Gosh bless ya. Thanks for chatting the chit. Take it easy and be good to yourselves. All right. And to each other.